Good evening. Welcome to a special work session of the Leander City Council. Today is Thursday, November 1st. The time is 5:04. We do have a quorum. I can confirm that. We can do business. And today's discussion is with the Penske representatives on a proposed new dealership project near the intersection of Hero Way and US 183. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Terry Bray. I'm a lawyer in Austin. Penske has asked me to assist them in the acquisition of property for a new Honda dealership and to also assist in getting the necessary development permits so that that dealership can be built and operated. Honda, you all are familiar with, world-class automobile manufacturer, and it identifies new locations for new dealerships when the market warrants that. And in this instance, Penske was among a number of operators who were made aware that Honda had identified this area, not Leander specific, but this general area in Williamson County for a new dealership. And won the beauty contest. I caught the truck, so to speak. And now I was trying to figure out how we make the most of that truck. In connection with that, we initially had looked at several sites, and we've focused ultimately on Roger Beasley's property located at Hero Way and 183A. That property is about 37 acres. We initially were looking at the hard corner that was right on the intersection, but we found as we went through that, and in your package is an aerial that gives you an indication if you want to flip to that and have it before you. As you know probably better than I would ever know, this area is substantially undeveloped at this point. It's not only vacant land, but in ag use at the present time. As we investigated the hard corner, discovered two things. One, initially LCRA, again, you folks know this very well, is constructing a new major transmission line that will come down Hero Way on our side of Hero Way. That was the issue number one, but then as we looked at that hard, we ran into a TxDOT circumstance where TxDOT informed us that there was a possibility sometime in the future that there might be a major kind of flyover intersection at Hero Way. And if that occurred, the schematic drawings would put the dealership underneath the flyovers, which obviously wasn't going to work well. And our hope and objective is to have a long-term relationship with this site and with this community. So we had to go back to square one. We've been at this a little over a year, but Mr. Beasley and his representative, Joe McAllister, have been very helpful in trying to have us find a way to operate on their site. So we moved north. In doing that, we had to redesign the site. It ended up being quite a bit bigger than we originally had anticipated in order for us to accommodate the Honda prototype and to operate the Honda store in accordance with the Honda requirements. So we ended up with the site that is also in your package, and we'll go over that in a little more detail a bit later. The Beasley folks have been excellent to deal with. They have helped us interface with your staff, with Robin and with Kent. And Robin in particular has spent a lot of time with us, helping us understand both what we needed to do and could do and what we would need to do from an approval point of view in connection with a planned unit development of PUD. We were working in the context of having to basically follow Honda rules and regulations. That is, in order to be a Honda dealership, you've got to operate as Honda generally sets us up, with some flexibility, but we have to be sure we honor what they tell us we need to do, or they will not approve this site ultimately. They have approved it tentatively, subject to getting the necessary development permits. The request that we would make of you folks is, please, this is interactive. I don't mean to be a talking head here, but we would be very grateful for your comments, your thoughts. Ultimately, we hope that you will share with us the concept that we've been talking about makes sense. We'll be coming back to you. P&C is at the end of November. We'll be at council for your 2 December meetings for final action on our applications. And the applications that are pending are for a zoning concept plan preliminary plat. So it's a package. With that package, if it is ultimately approved, then we move forward with necessary construction activities. In that connection, I want to introduce Jeff Anderson and Paul Boyaboy. Both are here with Penske. They reside, one in Ohio, Paul, Jeff in Michigan. We had the perfect day here, although they have seen some other not so perfect days. But Jeff would like to share with you some background information on Penske.
Right. Thanks, Terry. Thank you, everybody.
And you do have...
Yeah, I have. There's a packet. I don't want to dwell on this too much. I'll just kind of run through the highlights, but I just wanted to give you a little flavor about us, who we are, and what we do. There's a lot of different businesses associated with the name Penske, which are all somehow related with Roger, but this specific company that we're talking about is our publicly traded Fortune 150 company, which is primarily automotive retail. We have commercial trucks. We also have what we call used car standalone supercenters, which might be similar to CarMax that you've seen. We have these dealerships both here in the U.S. and in Western Europe, and we have approximately 400 dealerships between the 2 continents. We also distribute commercial vehicles and power systems in Australia and New Zealand. And then in Japan, we have a partnership with some automotive retail there as well. So we are on 4 continents and 9 countries, and we have approximately 25,000 employees. So and we represent the best brands in the world, we think, in terms of automotive sector. I probably should put that up there. Okay. So we are one of the largest dealership groups in the U.S. and globally. If you do it by number of units sold, we're number 2. AutoNation's number 1. We're number 2. 2017 was a record year for us from a revenue and sales standpoint, and 2018 is tracking ahead of 2017. So our business platform has been very strong. We sell almost 500,000 cars a year globally, and that translates to 4 million since we started the company in 1999. And we service approximately 1 vehicle every 1.2 minutes. So a lot of activity. We service over 3.7 million cars a year, and 3.7 repair orders, and 11,000 vehicles a year. This just gives you an idea of where we're located, the countries that we operate in. If you look at the United States, the states in blue are where we have businesses. The states in yellow we do not operate in. So primarily it's the East Coast and the West Coast, and then obviously Texas and a few Midwest states. These are the brands that we represent. Again, this is what we believe is the best-in-class, world-class brands. 72% of them are premium vehicles, which we would describe as Mercedes, Audi, BMW, Porsche. Volume non-U.S., which we're talking about tonight, which is primarily Toyota and Honda. And then we have a small portion of domestic brands. As you can see, Honda is 7% of our business, so it is one of the larger brands from a revenue standpoint for us. Our corporate values, this is kind of our guiding principles, but to recruit and retain the best human capital. So we want to have the best people represent world-class brands in the best locations, invest in premium facilities to attract customers. Facilities are very important to us. We want to make sure that they're the best they can be, and foster repeat and referral business, exceed expectations of our customers, and then leverage our best practices on a global scale. Can't stop that. I wanted to talk a little bit about community, and we try everywhere we go to be part of the community we're in, and not just a large company that comes in and sets up a building. But this slide here is what is actually occurring today in our Round Rock operation. So we have a Smart Kid Cool Car program for the local high school. And so one student, a senior, is selected every year based on their academic achievement and their character. And they write a little essay, I guess I'd say, based on their academic grades, and they're given a car. So that's part of our way of giving back. We participate in the Salvation Army's Adopt an Angel. We participate with the Blood Drive and the Cancer Center, with the Houston Food Bank, the Austin Wildlife Rescue, Williamson County Animal Shelter, and then we do provide sponsorships to local community schools and events. So that's what we're doing today. When we come to Leander, which is the next slide, we want to do this. We want to do the same thing. So we would develop a similar high school program where we would give away a car in one senior year based on academic achievement and character qualities. We would continue our financial educational sponsorship with the Leander schools, and then we would work with the local community here to see what other economic development initiatives we could put in place. So not that we just want to do business here, but we want to be part of the community and support the community as well.
Can I ask a quick question on here? It says Phase 1, Lot 1, Block A.
Yep.
Do you mean Lot 1, Block B?
It's the middle block.
Okay, got it. So that's B. Just checking.
Thank you.
So then this next slide is more specific about the Honda site, Phase 1, that we want to start construction on it as soon as possible. But that will have 100 employees, and this will be a net add of 100 employees. We're not bringing employees well, I shouldn't say that. We might bring a couple managers, but essentially this is hiring 100 new people to work at the store. We'll have a payroll of about $4.5 million with those 100 employees. We think we're going to sell almost 2,000 cars a year between new and used, primarily new, but used cars as well. We think we're going to work on about 9,000 cars a year, and we're going to generate $51 million in revenue based on sales, and then another $1.5 million on parts and service. And we think we're going to spend in the range of $12.5 million developing that site. So it's a big investment for us, but we think it'll pay off. So we're happy to do it. And then the last slide here is just Phase 2. These are estimates right now because we're not exactly sure what's going to go on that site. It could be.
So, in conjunction with Marcy's question, if the center, which is Block B, would be Phase 1, where is this? Phase 2, Lot 1, Block what? A? Or are you going back down to the...
Your question is where's Phase 2?
Yes, sir.
It would be on that same property. I'll show you a site plan in a moment that'll help you understand that a little better.
Oh, okay, I see.
So we just kind of laid out the whole site. We have some graphics that will represent that. And one building is for sure the Honda building. The second, we just have a block of a building that we think is going to be another store. We don't have a franchise to put there yet. So for now, it'll be undeveloped property. But when we do build it, we think it'll be a store of at least 60 people, generating at least $2.5 million, and we'll spend another $7 or $8 million.
So you're thinking Phase 1 will be Honda, and Phase 2 will be one of these other options?
Possibly, yes. It's hard to say at this point because there aren't, we can't just decide to put up a Porsche store.
Sure.
The manufacturers have to decide that they want to have a store in that location.
Right.
So,
But Phase 1 is new cars.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we will sell used cars there as well, but it's a new car sales and service
It's
facility.
probably about 65-35 new to used, just for a point of reference. I'm thinking phase 2 could be your F1 power plant.
That's right. Sure, no problem.
So go for that.
And then just a question about your associates. Are these full-time employees?
Yes, primarily full-time. There would be some part-time. We would have some valets and porters and some of those type of positions that could be part-time, but technicians, sales staff, receptionists, service riders, they're all full-time jobs.
And for the most part, do you have kind of an average salary point?
Well, I think it's probably going to be in the 50 to 60,000. Some of the, when you think about some of the entry salespeople and some of the receptionists and porters, they would be on the lower end. But we have technicians that make well over $100,000 a year, depending on how good they are.
And they have benefits because they're employees?
Oh, yeah, full benefits.
You guys work with ACC at all? And I don't know what you might have in Austin, but as far as, transitioning people from,
Yes,
you know,
Yes,
local
we do.
community colleges, the programs they have.
we do. We source people from wherever we can. Definitely community colleges. There are some specific technical colleges for maintenance technicians. And then salespeople can kind of come from anywhere.
But you have a program internal, do you not, to develop some of your?
We do. We have a leadership development program where it's kind of an MBA for automotive. And there's a national program that does it, but we've had one tailored just to our company because we have so many people that go through it. It's a national organization, the National Automotive Dealers Association, and they put it together. And so we do it twice a year and about 15 candidates. And it is, it's like 700 hours of class time, and they meet every month, and they have a lot of work. And so it's kind of it's a very intense program, but that's how you move from maybe being a salesperson to a sales manager to running a business.
Sure, great. Thank you.
My next question is that typical, that ratio 35 to 65 on dealerships to have that much used car sales going on a dealership?
It is. Usually it's 2 to 1, new to used. It would be pretty common because as you're selling cars, you're taking them in.
Trade-ins, yes.
You're taking trade-ins. We might have some loaners that we have out or some demos that people are driving. So we want to have a combination of different values of cars. So we might have some that are what we call near new, that have 10,000 or less miles on them, that we can almost sell as a new car. We would have some that are certified pre-owned. So even though they've been pre-owned, they've been inspected and checked, and they come with a warranty. And then you'd have the third category, which would be less expensive cars for people that need less expensive transportation. But typically it's 2 to 1.
May I take it from there?
Eric, you want to talk about the specific?
I need to get that.
Just keep going. I think it'll be right after.
Okay,
Yes.
so, thank you.
Just scroll through to the end. Well thought.
Put yes, sir, please. There you go. Thank
There
you.
we are.
You have this package before you. This is the site plan that's in this package. And this will be may answer some of the questions. Phase 1 is the right-hand side. The site is bisected by an internal driveway that runs from 183A over to future 269. And that driveway will be part of Phase 1. It will serve the Phase 1, but also provide access to Phase 2 as well. The south is the site that's impacted, as we discussed a moment ago, by both the LCRA line and potentially by the TxDOT improvements in the future. The north also belongs to Beasley. This is all of the Beasley property, basically 3 lots that we're showing here. Both the The south and the north presently have no specific use. The PUD anticipates they will be developed as general commercial, but without specific use designation or any kind of concept plan with respect to them. Internal to this, the main dealership is shown with the building on the south. The support buildings that will go with that will be on the south side of the internal road. And there will be constructed as part of phase one a public road along the north boundary. If I can, y'all bear with me. I hope I don't screw this up too bad. No, there it is. This is phase one. The internal drive comes over to 269. The primary dealership is here. This is now designed as a public road that will connect 183A and ultimately Hero Way. That road right-of-way will be dedicated as part of the final plat, and the road located on that right-of-way will be constructed to city standards. It's both the road and the necessary infrastructure that goes in the road.
And that'll be part of phase one?
Yes, ma'am, that'll be
Okay.
part of phase one. And one reason this site was so attractive to us as we looked at it is that you folks have capital improvement programs, as you know, that complement what we're doing and make this feasible for us to do. You've got a water line extension and a wastewater line extension that are programmed to come either to the south of us with respect to water or actually up the 183A right-of-way with respect to wastewater. So this is a site that can be developed and used rather quickly, which is important. From Honda's point of view, we need to be in a position where we are in operation roughly 18 months from now. So that means we've got to get through the permitting process and begin our construction and be up and running in about 18 months. The other pages in this material are primarily just background pages, but let me share with you and then ask your thoughts and comments on things we have been discussing with staff. The use, of course, was an issue that y'all shared with me and I shared with you a couple of weeks ago. Concern was that phase two could be a standalone, nothing but used cars with kind of the image of somebody having a shack and a bunch of used cars sitting out on it. And no, that was never our expectation or intention, and we modified the uses that are included in our PUD to exclude a standalone used car operation. We still have a potential collision center that could be on that site, and it might serve, in addition to Honda, other Penske operations in Central Texas. We don't know that. As Jeff said, and has tried to emphasize repeatedly to me, there is no way right now to pin down what might happen on phase two. It could be sold for commercial use. We don't think so. Our goal is to capture another dealership like Honda or better, or one of these major dealerships that we already have relationships with. Those are not easy to capture. You've got to win the beauty contest to do that. And it has to start with the manufacturer determining that the market is right for that particular brand. So we just don't know where we may go with phase two at this point. But the use, we've tried to pin that down as best we can. We have pinned it down for phase one. It will be a Honda dealership. The issues included the driveways that are shown. There is, of course, the new road up on the north, our internal drive that bisects the site. We are showing a drive on the south, which would be the access point into the south. That could be connected to our site. We're not sure that it will be. There is a pond, the drainage. Again, you folks are probably very familiar. The drainage pattern brings the water more or less to that corner. And thus, we're not real sure that we will make that connection. And among other reasons, we have to secure our inventory. So even if we make that connection, it'll have to be a secured connection that would allow us to secure the inventory in off hours.
Looks like all those connections would have a right turn lane.
Yes, on On the frontage road you're talking about? Yes.
Right,
It's
right,
a-
yeah.
It's a one-way operation. Now, that's an important point, thank you, Jeff, that on that north-south new road, east-west new road,
Right.
you see the entries into the site, and that's particularly important to our delivery of vehicles and other delivery-type operations. They will use that new street on the north and enter the site on the backside and come into the back. But we have been working on that with CTRMA and have tentative approval for those drives, and your access management arrangements appear to be also matching up with this, so that while the PUD initially had that as a variance, it may or may not be a variance depending on where we are with the access management. We also have talked quite a bit about landscaping, and your ordinance has provisions that would not match up with Honda in the sense that it would block the view of the site from 183A. What we have done is we come with a landscaping plan that has alternate kinds of plantings and landscaping, and your ordinance requires approximately 15% of the site to be landscaped, and our landscaping plan is 23%. So we will have more than the ordinance requirement, but it'll be located and managed in a way that is slightly different from, I'm going to call it, it's different from your ordinance. And again, I've shown you some pretty pictures is what they are, conceptuals, but we will be finalizing that landscape plan and bringing that to you with our final package in November and December. Again, it may vary a little bit when we actually get out on the ground and see what we need to do and how to do it, but the concepts will be embedded in what you will see in the final package. 269 was a big issue. The new road potentially would be on the east boundary. Again, as we looked hard at the corner site, we realized that there is a major driveway now. You folks are probably familiar. I believe it's a cement facility of some sort that is on our east boundary, along with a PEC transmission line with very large transmission poles. 269 is ultimately going to have to someone that deals with 269 will be working on two things that we identified, maybe three. The intersection at 269 and Hero Way does not now line up with the boundaries of the property. The cut through the median, it's going to have to be worked on and figure that out, and it runs right into the PEC poles when it does. Furthermore, there is a driveway servicing the cement facility that is literally on the east boundary, so that driveway will have to be accommodated in some fashion. So part of the reason we are north, or that we're good, that it is good that we are north, is that was something that we could not have handled and would have made this site infeasible had we had to deal with it. What we are doing is dedicating half the right-of-way of Hero Way, a big part of 269, so that it will be available whenever 269 becomes a reality.
So currently you won't be helping to build that road
No,
with
ma'am,
this project?
but we're building
you're
100%
dedicated-
of the east-west road.
Okay,
So that was, and providing the right-of-way as well.
okay.
And we have discussed that with Wayne and with Robin, and so far, we understand and they have agreed that what we're doing is far in excess of what your ordinance would anticipate being required, quote unquote, in terms of financial commitment. We're not building half of the road, but
Right.
what we are doing, cost-wise and commitment-wise, exceeds what your ordinance would require. That rough proportionality concept that I'm sure you folks have heard about
Right.
from time to time.
So 269 north of Hero Way, is that a driveway or is it a road?
You mean what's there now?
Yes.
There is a
Cement.
private driveway that is being vacated. That is Mr. Higginbotham, whom you folks probably again know. And he has agreed to release that because this new road will provide far better access for his property than his current dirt road that goes back up into.
It is a dirt road
Yes,
right
yes, ma'am.
now? Okay.
that's
It
the
goes to
cement
the
plant.
cement plant. That's on, that would be in the right of way.
Right. What
Right.
Marcy's
our
referring
property.
to is there's a little dirt road that
That's right.
provides access up to Higginbotham.
Correct, yeah,
I
In
just
addition
wanted to be clear, it's a
That is-
dirt
that is
road
correct.
right now, it's not a road.
that is correct.
Okay.
That's right. And it's a private
It's a
easement
private.
that was granted, golly, 40 years or so.
Yeah,
But it will go away.
right.
Is
Because
okay
it
to
doesn't
ask about
line
this?
up
Sure.
to the one on the south.
I was wondering, why it's south-facing, not,
What?
why your building is south-facing and not west-facing?
South facing?
Yeah.
In terms of, I got you, you're
Says this
talking
is the
about.
south elevation.
Yes, ma'am?
Well, I think that's maybe, can I see that?
Sure.
Yeah, I think
And then
Because
also,
maybe-
I'm wondering if this is building A or building B? Or both?
This is the Honda dealership. Is that-
So that's the
is that A?
south-
Is that A?
It's
Okay,
Yeah.
That's this building right here.
okay.
And what's being called the south elevation is this elevation.
southwest elevation.
It's
Okay.
really southwest and facing directly to 183.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And that was your real question, why is it not facing 183?
Exactly,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Thank you. And if you do click, that will come up, but I was leaving the site plan up, unless there are questions like you just mentioned, we can flip back to those pages as we go. And this, the page you were looking at is the Honda prototype. In other words, this comes as, Honda says, here's, I don't want to say it quite that way, but they do tell us how to put up a Honda dealership. They don't just say go hire an architect and put up a building. So while there is some flexibility, as I mentioned, by and large, we have to follow their templates. One of the things that we discussed with staff, and to a certain extent with Honda, is your ordinances allow stucco as one of the building materials. And by the way, let me back up just a second. In early conversations with staff, the automobile dealership generally anticipates heavy commercial zoning. Staff suggested that we apply for general commercial instead of heavy commercial and take care of things that we needed to take care of for the dealership by modifications through the PUD, rather than coming in for the zoning that your ordinance anticipates for dealership. So that's what we've done.
Gotcha.
And part of that also has been your type A standards. And in general, we're following the type A standards for our development. This segues back to stucco. One of the things we've found is there is a product that is, in its current iteration, much better than stucco. It's called, I'm going to probably mispronounce it, I think it's EFIS, E-F-I-S.
We're familiar.
And it stands for something. I can't tell you. what it
Exterior
is.
installation finish system.
Say again?
Exterior installation finish systems.
Okay.
We've dealt with that
You know
actually in
it is.
residential.
Now,
Well, and with
We're
St.
told-
David's.
Same day.
these guys could, that was St. David.
Yeah, St.
But these
David's,
guys
that's right.
can tell you, it is a better product, it is better insulation, it is more attractive. But we recognize it, and we'll be happy to provide samples so that you can see it, but it is a better product than stucco. Now, that's going to be a discussion point. Obviously, staff has made us aware that was, and I think may even have mentioned the St. David's experience. So we know that's an issue. And again, your thoughts, we'd be very grateful as we go along here on any of these topics. Share with us your concerns, your suggestions, because our goal would be to come out of here with a general feeling that we're not pushing this string uphill, but rather that we are working together to find a way to make it work.
I think our goal is always working with a product that is highly sustainable, and so I think that was our concern with the EFIS, that
St. David's, I think the compromise was it wasn't on
It
the
was
first
limited
two
use.
floors. It was up higher because I think it has a tendency to, from what I'm told, it can be or carved in,
Yeah,
I've never heard anything about
defaced.
it's an insulation board. It's maybe 2 inches thick, and then it has a stucco finish on top of it. So you're right. If it's hit hard, you would push the stucco back into the insulation board. You know, the insulation is like styrofoam. It's like a styrofoam cup, but it's 2 inches thick. So I will tell you, that's not a deal breaker for us. If you tell us you want stucco, we'll put stucco up. I don't want
this project
We're
to get
thinking
held
for
up on that.
hailstorms,
So-
just for your,
As you look at these elevations here, so as Terry was saying, we kind of mandated some design elements by Honda that are
Yes,
very important
branding,
to
we
them.
need it,
Their
right,
branding.
Like,
absolutely.
like the name.
right, absolutely.
And the color.
We
What's
get that.
important to them is this is their entry portal. And that's probably the most important thing to them, and these proportions and this look. And then this little canopy here, wave, is important to them, and then this piece, and then obviously the signs. But
I like the Leander.
make
The
it even
majority of the lower level anyway is gonna be glass.
bigger. Yes, so this is all.
So there would be a
this is
limited
all
amount of
glass.
EFS supplied
This is
there
all
anyway,
glass.
right?
We want to have a limestone base because we want to have a protective barrier down low so like you said, it doesn't get run into and damaged. And then we've kind of implemented that on the side and the back too as some architectural relief. But this white material, whether that is EFS or it's stucco, is not, I mean, it's okay. Either one is okay.
How far up would the stone go?
That's about 3 feet high.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not very high. It's more of just a kind of a low protective barrier that runs along here.
But then too, I'm sure you're very well vested, to keep the property looking nice, so I'm sure you wouldn't use a product that's gonna give you
Absolutely.
issues, so.
Correct. Absolutely. We want to have great facilities that
Yes.
look good all the time, so.
Because your name's on it.
It's not an issue.
Okay.
It's not an issue for us.
Is
What
there a
we really want
substantial,
is, to substantially have this look approved.
is there a substantial cost difference between the EFS and stucco?
In this market,
No.
because a lot of stucco is done and you have a lot of expertise for it. If you
Yeah.
go to some place like Minnesota where they don't do any stucco, then it might be, you would have some cost issues there, but not.
Because you're bringing in people that are experts.
Correct.
What about long-term maintenance, wear and tear? Is it better with the EFS or regular stucco?
Well, I think you
They're about
could
the
argue
same.
both ways. If you have it down low, it can definitely be damaged, no doubt about it. The early days of putting EFS up, when I say early days, I'm talking about the 80s. And there were a lot of installers that didn't really know how to put it up right, they didn't put proper flashing in, you had a lot of window leaks, you had a lot of mold, you had a lot of problems. It's much better now, they have a lot more expertise to it, but stucco's a good product too. So.
We have facilities with both, so.
Gentlemen, I have a question. And that is, like when you go into a market and, you have these places around you, I don't know if you typically buy land, like you got in phase 3 potentially or whatever. By the way, I have heard Whataburger people actually buy a lot of cars, after they leave Whataburger. So I'm not telling you what direction to go, but the question is, what kind of developments do you typically see? Is there anything that kind of tags along with a new car dealership? Is it?
Well, typically for us, it would be an automotive-related facility
That's on the land you own.
on the
correct?
land we own.
Okay.
Yeah. And that could
Adjacent to
be,
your land?
that could be anything from another sales facility, could be a used car, I know that's something I'm interested in, could be something like that. It could be a body shop, it could be more shop space. When I say more shop space, as this business grows, especially with Honda, you get a lot of express service, so people just want to come in and get their oil changed and their tires rotated. So in many of our Honda stores, we'll actually set up a separate facility where if you're coming for that kind of work, you just go there. You don't have to get mixed in with the rest of the stuff. So there are multiple things that could be on that site. When you're talking about what might be around other automotive dealerships.
Just like,
You see-
is there anything, do fast food places say, okay, we found that being next to a new car dealership
So the
generates
answer
a
to that
decent
would
amount of
be
traffic?
yes. Because you have 100 employees there.
Yeah.
They're always looking for food.
Yeah.
So it could be that. A lot of times you get stuff like a convenient type of store, a C-store. Gas stations are very common. Those are some of the things that would support local employees. You don't necessarily see a strict center
Yeah.
retail, more individual uses.
How many employees, how many customers on a typical day would go through a dealership like this?
Well, you would probably see somewhere in the range of 50 to 80 service customers a day. And, we'd like to think we could get 50 customers a day, but obviously the weekends are a lot busier from a sales perspective. The week is weekdays from a service perspective. Mondays are a little down.
What time would you typically close?
So 9 o'clock-ish. But a lot of times what happens is 9 o'clock might be your closing hour, but if you have 10 people in there that are still trying to buy a car, you might keep them in there till 10 o'clock to finish the deal. Typically, you would want to start taking appointments at 7 a.m. in the morning for service. Sales don't really pick up until maybe 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. You have a hard break in 2 minutes.
Two minutes. Mayor, the Rudy's, you may remember, was going to this hard corner until they ran into the LCRA/TechStop property.
That would be a very complimentary.
That was maybe responsive to your question.
Especially for staff.
Let me close with this.
We have one right across the street from our.
Round Rock campus.
Yeah.
I just want to mention,
Is Round Rock Ethos?
Yes.
Yes, part of the building is, some of it's block, but yeah.
Same height?
Very similar, yes. This is the newest generation entry element, so at Round Rock, you don't have this glass on either side, it's all blue, but you do have this element. And
Has there
we have
been
a
any
separate service.
damage or any issues with the Ethos there? I just don't want to overimpose a request to change material if it,
From my perspective, it's not really an issue.
okay.
I don't think it's any cost difference, so I wouldn't want to make an issue of it. If that's what the ordinance is, then that's what we'll do.
Right. Which one is more durable?
More durable for your home.
I think you could argue both
Okay.
ways.
So it's literally a coin toss?
Yes.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We got to make a
They
hard
said come
break
in
now.
with like this armor
We're going to adjourn this
mesh that
meeting
they
at
put in before you put the
5:46.
stuff in
Thank you
there.
very much.
Sometimes that
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular city council meeting. Tonight is Thursday. It is November 1st, and the time is 6 o'clock sharp. This is a regular meeting of the Leander City Council. We're going to first do our invocation. Tonight's invocation is being given by Rabbi Marie Betcher. We're going to ask her to do the invocation and come to the podium. Afterwards, the scout troop from Leander are going to help us with our pledges, so remain standing for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Dearest Lord, tonight we come with hearts deeply thankful for all the gifts we have. We are thankful to those who have helped us get to where we are, and we are thankful to our city council members and our mayor, city manager, and staff for all their hard labor, all their endeavors for this city. Indeed, we have all come from many places, backgrounds, ethnicities, and many paths. Yet tonight we come here having been inspired by a singular mission. Lord, we struggle for the well-being of those who inhabit this beloved city we call home, who need us. May we walk the walk of compassion and bring compassion to the center of our lives. May we cultivate the capacity to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us. And may, Lord, we treat all people, no matter how different, with the reverence they deserve. God, may we live a purpose bigger than ourselves, understanding that when we do, you and I will begin to transcend our limitations and discover ourselves to be far greater than we had ever imagined. God, may we recognize that our lives will be measured not by the titles we carry, but by the number of hearts we heal and the lives we transform. May we be ever vigilant such that in our toil and labor of service, our hearts don't become hardened, our eyes don't become blind, and God, that we don't forget where we came from nor neglect those we are meant to serve. Lord, may we realize that change doesn't magically appear. May we always be mindful that the thoughts we dwell on become us, and that everything you and I put out into the world is going to come back. Indeed, what we do unto others, it will be done unto us, even more. May we all meet tonight with the will and courage to move beyond ourselves and leave our noble mark on our beloved city, Leander, and our nation and all of earth. For every beginning there's an ending, God. For every memory there's a dream ahead. As we begin this city council meeting tonight, God, may we forever be in awe of all that had to happen in our lives to be here right now. And we say in the Lord's name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll do the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Rabbi, I want to thank you. That was very, very nice. I appreciate it. All right, Ms. Crabtree, if you could do the roll call, please.
Councilmember Andrea Navarrete.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Michelle Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Shannon Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Christine Sedequist.
Here.
Councilmember Jeff Sauer.
Here.
Councilmember Marcy Cannon.
Here.
Mayor Troy Hill.
Here, we do have a quorum. We can do business. At this time, we're going to move to staff reports. Mr. Cagle?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. I have one brief report, and then we'll have our Economic Development Director, Mark Willis, come up and give his report. And we have a little bit of overlap. I'm giving the latest data on single-family permits. And, yeah, there it comes. It's a little busy, but every month shows you 5 years until we get out to the future. Then you've only got 4 years. But if you focus on October, you can see that in October of 2018, we issued 140 single-family permits. That's permits for new housing being built 1 month, which was 13.82% greater than last October. So this was, I guess, the second best October we've had in history, even going back far beyond the 5 years. And then you look year to date, we are just a little bit behind last year. I think we talked about it last time a little bit. In the middle of the year, we had some of the Harvey issues where a lot of labor left, and but we're making up for it now. And by the end of the year, in the city limit in the first line, we'll probably exceed last year. But when you look at all the building permits we've issued and the inspections that we have to follow up with in the city and in our ETJ, we're ahead of last year now, where you add those two together, and we've got 1,411 permits that have been issued, and that's 27 more than last year. And so if you want to know where we're building in the ETJ, there's a couple of places that we are going to be inspecting. That's the Lively Tract out on 29, and just to the just to the east of Reagan and to the east of Gabriel's Overlook, and then before long, you'll start seeing some permits show up on the Wiedemeyer tract. That's just north, a little bit north of the river on the west side of Ronald Reagan. So we're building houses at the rate we have the past couple of years. It's continuing this is really a breathtaking rate. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Mr. Willis?
Mayor and Council. Let's see if I can make this work. Okay, first I wanted to cover the major projects that we've had going the last few years. This is a golden oldie. You may have forgot this one. We worked with PEC about 3 years ago. They still own that property, the old Evans property, 26 acres. I keep in touch with them every month. They still intend to build this, although it's going to probably be a little bit smaller, but they assure me they're going to do it. I've taken two groups to them that would have rented out the major industrial building that's on there, on that property, and they've turned those people down because they still do intend to use it. St. David's, the emergency room opened up the first of this year. They're in the process of permitting the 60,000 square foot office space, As soon as that permit's done and they break ground on that, then we'll start seeing them do the permitting process on the hospital. The first phase of the hospital is going to be between 80 and 120 beds. I'm looking forward to that. It's a little bit different than the way we thought it was going to be, but when they came out here, they realized we didn't have any office space for them.
Mark, how many would that typically employ, the first phase, any idea?
120 beds, it'll be, you're talking 600-700 people up there.
Okay.
And then peripheral businesses around it. And we've already got interest in additional medical office buildings around that site. And Texas Bullion Depository, even though we had to extend their deadline a little bit because of they found getting the contract completed with the state's not as easy as you might think. But they've got that done now, and they're in the permitting process for their infrastructure work at this point, talking to engineering and planning.
Is that their rendering?
Excuse me?
Is that their rendering?
No, that's our best guess.
I like it.
I like it too. That's Mike's work, and I think they should let Mike design it.
I agree.
And this is an actual picture of the Holiday Inn Express is going up, and their goal is to be open before summer. We'll see if they make it. These are the other projects we've got that aren't quite as large. Where they're at, Braun and Butler Construction is in their planning phase, and up by the police station, if you remember, should be under construction sometime this coming year. AEPS Security is already moving into their new facilities. They will build a second building eventually there. And HSG, Hospital Service Group, they are moving into the building they bought over on Crystal Falls as well. Right now we're working with 2 new prospects we hope to complete within the year, and 3 expansion projects in town with the companies that are already here, and we always want to pay attention to those folks. Old Town, Casa Costa is doing great. All the ones that we've worked with so far. Of the 2 that approved that haven't moved forward, we haven't cut the checks to them, the 2 brew pubs. One of them is close to getting their financing in place. The other one has a deadline at the first of this coming year, or else they'll have to come back and reapply. They will have had more than a full year to get their financing together. And where we understand that going through the SBA like they are is a little bit difficult, we have to set a time limit to it before they have to come back and talk to us again. So hopefully we'll have 2 more. I know we'll have at least 1 more before the end of the year. I'm hoping that we'll have 2.
Is there brew pubs?
Brew pub will be 1. And
Would they be? Are they looking at Old Town or across the street too? Or
I don't know the property they've got yet. They haven't disclosed that yet. Okay, and just wanted to let y'all know, one of the things we've decided since this summer is our leads are coming from direct contact. We hired a firm to help us with social media advertising. We've seen a lot more hits on the website. What we have not seen is a significant jump in leads. Our leads the last year and a half have come almost exclusively from people we meet at trade shows and conferences. So Eric and I will be traveling a lot from here on out and spending less money on printed ads and that type of thing. So here's where we've gone this past quarter, Northern California recruitment trip, and we do try and do these with our partners. Went with the Austin Regional Group there, NAI Global Real Estate, Wilco Group, it's Williamson County Economic Development folks. When we go to Coronet Global, we go to that. It used to be the biggest show in the United States. It has fallen on hard times. Right now we just go and walk the floor. When it gets to a point where it's worth having a booth there, we'll get the Wilco Group to do that, or we won't. Yeah, we'll get the Wilco Group to do it. IMC, we go there in association with Team Texas. We host, do a small hosting there, but Team Texas does a dinner that invites 30 or 40 end users to that dinner every time we participate in that as well. SIOR, that's one we just started doing with the Wilco Group. We went to the first one last spring that they had in Austin. We were impressed enough by going to that one. We went to that one, Team Texas. We were impressed enough that the Wilco Group did the one in Denver here about a month ago. And the interest in Texas in general was pretty amazing. In fact, we take our usual swag there. We were out of it and out of our material by the end of the second day. So the third day we weren't nearly as popular. But we thought it went really well. Eric went to Chicago on a recruitment trip with the regional partners. Went to the Team Texas tailgate that they have every year at the Arkansas A&M game. I had to suffer and do that.
Do you have that many first grade type books for Aggies? Is that what you're saying?
We could. Don't worry, I can help you with the big words, Mayor. And then the thing where we've got most of our smaller success stories here recently have come from talking to, I did a presentation to Opportunity Austin early this year, and since then I've been invited to talk to several Rotary clubs, Lions Club. We're getting a lot of interest from businesses in Austin who are looking to lower their cost of doing business and coming out here. So I think we're getting a lot of mileage out of that, although I'm not real crazy about doing 6 o'clock Rotary Club breakfast presentation. If it works, we'll keep doing it. Business retention, which is what Eric focuses on, is these are the surveys he's done the last quarter and the regular business visits. Tex Mix, we established this 3 quarters ago, where we recognize an established business that's a cornerstone to the community. Last time it was Tex Mix. And then continued partnership with ACC, Chamber of Commerce, and Leander ISD. Looking ahead, I don't know how many of y'all know this. Last week we had a videographer in doing we'll have a 7 to 8 minute, I believe, spot on modern business, which is on Bloomberg's network. Don't know when it's going to air. We think in December. We got several of our leading business people. We got the president of St. David's, Ms. Price from CMT Management, and Matt Ferris with the Gold Depository. We're all interviewed there. Spent the day going out and taking pictures, and particularly taking pictures of all the construction going here. The good thing about this, they reach 40 major markets, and we hope they'll drive some business our way. This time of year, we're not going to travel as much. This time of year, it slows down with holidays coming up. I will go to the Economics thing in Nashville, Tennessee. That's one I've been to before that's been pretty successful. And then Eric's going to go on the Northeast recruiting trip with the Austin regional partners. This is something our retail continues to be a concern for us, and for a lot of different reasons. But I wanted to pull this out of the latest things that we're actually gaining on the retail. The chart shows the difference there. Probably easier to see is total sales tax collections from retail trade only, taking out the construction trade and everything else, is up 14.73% from the last month, and over the year it's up over 10%. The thing that's going to help us coming out is right now we have 5 different developers that are mixed-use developers that have retail planned into their stuff. And that's been one of the things that's hurt us, is we can get the guys to come in and build a standalone automotive repair shop or a fast food place. But getting the ones that need the density, where there's a number of retailers, we haven't had that till this last year. I'm really excited not only about the Teinberg thing, but there's 4 others in town I think are going to really take off in the next 18 to 24 months. And met with one of them for lunch today. They're for the most part, they're as far as I can figure out and I look pretty deep into their background. They're the real deal, and I think we'll really be moving forward on that. So that.
Mark, would you go back to that two slides? Just to let you know that the chart on the left, that's September back, so it's 12 months, and it's showing you the sectors that generate sales tax. And the biggest sector is what you would really expect is retail, but the second biggest is construction. And that's, if you look at different cities in this mix, it's going to be different. We probably have more construction-related sales tax than just about any city of our size in the state, I would assume. And then on the right-hand side, it's showing the change in the past 12 months. So in 12 months, we generated $480,000 more in sales tax, and that shows where it came from. And so the biggest jump by far was in retail. I can't quite read it, but it's almost half of the increase came from retail. And then professional services, food services, and utilities were next. See, construction's just been steady, so you wouldn't expect it to have gone up that much.
What would construction be as far as sales tax?
Well, one of the biggies is we have several cement plants, and so when we get a permit, they go out and pour a foundation. There's sales tax on that, so that's going to be a big chunk of that number.
Okay.
But anything construction related that they're sales tax.
The construction sales tax generation has carried us for a number of years now, because our retail leakage, and we've talked about this before, is over 60%, and which is, you aim to be under 30%. What I'm saying with these developers and all, you give us 5 or 6 years, and we'll be moving that needle significantly, I think.
Can you?
But construction has been a real godsend for the city.
Absolutely. Can you, is manufacturing one specific company, or?
No, it's not. It's in every one of these, there's probably several hundred vendors, but there's probably only a few that contribute significantly. And so we can't talk about any specific vendor, but other than waste management, every one of those categories has a lot. Now, some of them you may have someone that pays $5 a year. So, but it's the 80-20 kind of rule. The top 20% of those are going to generate most of the revenue in almost every category.
What will be interesting, and we're going to keep track of, is the direct order sales tax generation for the next year is going to be really interesting as it grows. It's a little over 10% right now, but within 12 to 18 months, it's very likely to be approaching 20%, so we'll need to keep track of that as well. So with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Mr. Willis, I know you said that that the sales tax collections were up about 14% for the year. Do you have what that equates to in numbers? I can't tell if it's on that chart in the tiny print or not. Like dollar revenue.
Well,
yes,
it's about 480,000
in the growth. But what's the total?
Well, that's the total gross. I'm not sure what the total gain is 480,000. So, you're talking in the neighborhood of our sales tax collection is probably in the area of what, 4 or 5 between.
Well, it's right there on the left.
Oh yeah, it's 5 million
on the left. 5 million. So when he said 14%, he was talking about the retail trade sector. Mm-hmm. Now this lags a month, so our what we show, since we've had the October overall total sales tax, we're up about 11%.
All right, thank you.
When you talk construction, is that it's not services, it's just the supplies themselves are taxed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But isn't automotive service now taxed? Service?
Parts and some portions of it are taxed.
I thought the legislature changed that a few years ago, and I thought automotive service was now taxed.
I'm not sure that all of it is.
Okay.
I know all the parts and some of the labor is, but I'm not sure I could say 100% of it is.
Okay. Thank you.
So.
Awesome. All right, we're going to move to number 7. This is our citizen comments. When I call your name, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes. First is Richard Davis.
Richard Davis, 10760 East Crystal Falls Parkway, Leander, Texas. Mayor and council member, we moved to Leander area 21 years ago. We purchased 60 acres on County Road 272. We've moved to the country. Well, that didn't last for long. Well, now Crystal Falls, fast forward 21 years, Crystal Falls has been widened twice. It's got 2 schools in front of us, and I've got a concrete barrier in front of my driveway. And that's the reason I'm here this evening. If you could flip over to page 3 in the brochure that I left in your mailboxes earlier. And you can see how when I come out of my driveway, I have to come and make a U-turn around the light to go eastbound to get back to 183, where most of our business is. The problem with this is that I'm fighting the mostly school traffic that's making a right on red at that intersection. And for some reason, even though I have a green light or a green arrow, they think that their right on red takes precedence over my green. So I've had many, many near accidents there. Just coming over here today, I was fighting the car trying to get around. So I went to TxDOT, and I asked them if they made a sign that addressed this issue, and they said, yes, we do. That's on the last page of your packet. It says, right turn on red must yield to U-turn. So I called the city, and I asked them if they would consider putting a sign up at that intersection so I could safely make the turn there. And the city director wasn't very sympathetic toward me. He said, nope. He said, I want you to go down, take a right at your driveway, go down to the cut in the medium about 500 feet down, and he says, you can make a U-turn there. Well, the problem with that is about threefold. Number one, it's probably illegal because that cut isn't made, it's engineered for left turn traffic. It's made for them to get in and out of the traffic and make a left turn. Number two, when I pulled into that cut, my tail end of my vehicle is hanging out in the road, and I got people honking at me, and I'm backing up traffic to the light, waiting for westbound traffic to clear so I can make my U-turn. Does that make sense? And number three is the closest left turn cut to me is about a half a mile down the road at Ridgemar Landing. Now, it doesn't make sense to me that I should have to fight traffic in any of these cuts when I've got a light there right in front of my house, right in front of my driveway, where I can make a left safely. The problem is it's not quite as safe as it sounds because the school traffic and I are fighting that intersection. And my request to you is that you, at the city of Leander, make me a sign that says right turn on red must yield to U-turn traffic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen Thompson.
Karen Thompson, 11327 Old 2243 West or Hero Way West, 78641. I fell and hurt my knee, but I'm going to be chunking this thing by tomorrow, I think. So anybody needs a pink walker with low mileage will let me know. Want to remind everybody of Horace B. Hamilton Jr. Day coming up on the 10th, a week from Saturday at 2 p.m. These are some photos of Horace. He is 94, was a 1941 graduate of Leander High School at 16. Then he turned 17 and joined the Navy and was in the Navy for 4 years and 3 months. And on the ship, the Phoenix, and was a machinist and learned all kinds of in that trade. And that's what he went into when he got back after those years. He got a job in Houston, and he was with the big manufacturing company for about 40 years and so forth. This is his late wife. And anyway, he will be here. And also that day, the 10th, we are going to have, everybody has to pay their own lunchway at Cherry Creek Catfish, starting at 11:15 by 11:30. If you can come and have lunch with Horace and meet him, and then we'll go over to the library at 1, and then, of course, the big event is at 2, and we're going to have really great weather. I'm just really positive of that. So we want everybody to come out and meet Horace. Pearl Harbor survivor, and just a great gentleman that has lived a life of honor and service and is just so deserving. Now, if you have time this Saturday at 2 o'clock at Bagdad Cemetery, we're honoring a Texas Ranger. This is our 4th Texas Ranger in Bagdad, and I bet you I'm going to have 4 more. We're also honoring a citizen of the Republic of Texas, and this is at 2 o'clock at Bagdad Cemetery, sponsored by the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. And I want to tell y'all about this city stuff. We have a 183-year history. And our Leander Historical Preservation Commission, we are working to get this out to you and in all sorts of forms and directions so everyone will know this great history of the town. We didn't just happen yesterday. We started 183 years ago. And I appreciate being able to come and tell y'all some of this history and invite you to some of these events. And my time is up. Thank you.
Ms. Thompson, I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
something for you.
Yes, sir.
When I saw this, I absolutely figured I had to get this for you. This is a plaque. You're welcome to hang it anywhere. It says, at this very location on April 12th, 1861, absolutely nothing happened. So I thought of
That is
you.
perfect,
I got this
yes.
for you. You're
I
going to
want
think
that.
of me
I
every
want
time
that.
you look at
But
this.
I'm going to be able to find, I bet you I can do some research and find out that there was something happened.
We'll have to change
And
it.
find out who it was that did it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Here, I'll take it to your seat.
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to move to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Navarrete.
You have it backwards, sir.
Oh, sorry. Motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there any comments, questions? All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, at this time, we're going to move to our regular agenda.
Public hearing.
Sorry, public hearing, if I can find it here. Here we go. Okay, number 16, we are going to conduct a public hearing regarding zoning case 18-CP-009 to adopt the Leander Business Center concept plan on 2 parcels of land, approximately 10.2514 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031713 and R433340, generally located approximately 375 feet to the east of the intersection on Mockingbird Hill and Bagdad Road on the site of Mockingbird Hill, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. All right, Ms. Griffin.
This is a public hearing for the Leander Business Center concept plan. The property is located to the southeast of the intersection of Mockingbird Hill Lane and Bagdad Road. The proposal includes 10.2514 acres of non-residential development. This proposal meets all the requirements of the Subdivision Ordinance, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request at their meeting last week. I'll be glad to answer any questions after the public hearing.
All right, we do not have anybody to sign up to speak on this item. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, now we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to move to discuss and consider action regarding Subdivision Case 18-CP-009 to adopt the Leander Business Center concept plan on 2 parcels of land, approximately 10.2514 acres, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031713 and R43340, located approximately 375 feet to the east of the intersection of Mockingbird Hill and Bagdad Road on the south side of Mockingbird Hill, Leander, Williamson County, Texas.
Motion to approve?
A second.
All right, we have a motion approved by Councilmember Sederquist with a second by Councilmember Pro Tem Stevenson. Is there any comments? All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Right, we move to number 17. Conduct a public hearing regarding Ordinance Case 18-OR-002 to amend the Composite Zoning Ordinance to modify the definition of family and household, to modify provisions governing group homes, to establish the process for requesting reasonable accommodation on the basis of a disability, and to provide for related matters. Williamson and Travis Counties, Texas. Ms. Griffith.
This is a public hearing for an amendment to the Composite Zoning Ordinance with regards to the group home provisions. This request is the second step in the ordinance process, and the purpose in the ordinance amendment is to create and implement a reasonable accommodations process that's consistent with the Federal Fair Housing Amendments Act. This ordinance will provide amendments to the definitions for families, households, and disabled disability. In addition, it will provide a process for an applicant to request a reasonable accommodation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council through the approval of a special use permit. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this change with the condition that the neighborhood residential use component was added to the group home definition. So right now there's a definition that states that you could have between 6 and 15 not more than 15 residents if you have the multifamily use component. We changed it to add the neighborhood use component. And after the meeting, we did further research, and staff is recommending that we allow 16 instead of 15 so that we're consistent with the state law. I'll be available for questions after the public hearing.
All right. We do not have anybody signed up to speak. Would anybody like to speak on this item? Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, now we're going to close the public hearing. We're going to discuss and consider action on the first reading of an ordinance regarding Ordinance Case 18-OR-002, amending the Composite Zoning Ordinance to modify the definition of family and household, modifying provisions governing group homes to establish the process for requesting a reasonable accommodation on the basis of a disability, and to provide for related matters. Williamson and Travis Counties, Texas. Council.
I'll motion to approve with the recommendation from P&Z, modifying that to 16 persons instead of 15.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve with the modifications of 16 persons by Councilmember Shepard, with a second by Pro Tem Stevenson. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. We're going to move to number 18, conduct a public hearing regarding Ordinance Case 18-OR-003 to amend the Composite Zoning Ordinance to modify the provisions associated with access management and to provide for related matters. Williamson and Travis Counties, Texas. Script.
This request is the second step in the ordinance process. Based on input from the development community, the City Council took steps at the September 6, 2018 council meeting to start the process of selecting a traffic engineer to conduct an access management study for arterial roadways and propose amendments to the ordinance. During the interim, the City Council has directed staff to propose modifications to the access management portion of the ordinance in order to provide more flexibility in the access standards. We did some research and decided that the TxDOT standards would be appropriate for our arterials in Leander. I put the standards up on the screen. The driveway spacing would be based on the speed of the roadway. So we would evaluate the different roads based on their speed limits when we're looking at site development permits. We also included language in the ordinance that would allow for some flexibility if you have a established lot or tract that's less than these widths, so that we could allow other people to have driveways as well. Staff did recommend approval of the amendment, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with a 4-to-1 vote at the meeting last week. And I'll be glad to answer questions after the public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to now move to discuss and consider action on the first reading of an ordinance regarding Ordinance Case 18-OR-003, amending the Composite Zoning Ordinance to modify the provisions associated with access management and to provide for related matters, Williamson Travis Counties, Texas.
Motion
make
to
a-
approve?
Second.
Did we have a tie?
Three-way tie.
All right, so I'm going to recognize Mrs. Cannon with a motion to approve, with a second by Councilmember Seiler. Is there any comments, questions? All in favor?
Wait, actually, someone over there did it. I did want to make a motion with a slight adjustment. So is it too late now? Because I tried to spit it out.
We haven't voted.
Okay.
Yeah, voted. It would be,
You'd have to ask Mr. Jeff.
yeah.
Okay, I would like to offer a friendly amendment that in Section B, because this is meant as a stopgap measure, temporary till about mid-year next year, I would like to allow the customer of the city of Leander to come to, if they would like to appeal the decision, to submit to city council and just remove the final sentence there so that we're not adding an additional month to the process of them going through planning and zoning. My thinking on this is if it's coming back to us, that's based, under Article 5 site components.
What
B.
page in the packet?
Yeah, it's in there.
What page in the packet?
Oh, well.
70.
Sorry. Okay. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, sorry.
So B, right here, if somebody would like to appeal the decision, this directs them to P&Z and then on to council. And again, since this is kind of a short-term fix, and because it is subjective and it's not interpreting our ordinances at this point, if someone's appealing it, I would like to make a friendly amendment that it just comes directly to council.
So you want the appeal to go to council before it goes to P&Z?
I don't think that an appeal needs to go to P&Z unless legally it needs to.
So what this is saying is their appeal goes to the commission, and if they're satisfied with those results, they're done.
The
If they
Planning
don't,
and Zoning Commission?
correct. And
Okay.
if they don't agree with commission's decision, then they appeal it to the city council. So it's
It's a
not requiring
two-layer.
both groups.
2 levels of.
Right, it just gives you the
appeal.
option to appeal to someone else if you don't like the commission's decision.
I was trying to just simplify it because by this point, someone's gone a long time and spent a lot of money, but
I think it achieves the same thing as long as P&Z doesn't deny it. That you were trying to say.
yeah. Okay. All right, then I remove my friendly motion. I'm learning.
So, did you have a question, Councilman?
Did not.
Okay.
Okay.
So at this time, we have a first and second. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Yes.
All right, we're going to move to number 19. Conduct a public hearing regarding zoning case 18-TOD-Z-026 to amend the NAX Crossing PUD Plan Unit Development Transit-Oriented Development, NAX Crossing PUD, with the base zoning district GC-3-A, General Commercial, on 2 parcels of land approximately 14.939 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R032234 and R032209, located at 3651 and 3850 North Highway 183, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. That's good.
This is a public hearing for the proposed amendment to the NAX Crossing PUD. The applicant is requesting a couple of changes. As you can see on the screen, the arrows that are green are providing driveway access to those streets. Those are being added to this request. He's requesting to remove the required right-of-way that would connect US 183 and 183A toll road. And he's also added a rendering. So this is an example of what would be proposed on the west side of his property. These proposed changes are consistent with the updates to the access management standards that you just reviewed and they're also consistent with TxDOT and CTRMA's requirements. Staff did recommend approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval, and I'll be glad to answer questions after the public hearing.
All right, the public hearing is still open. I do have one person signed up to speak on this, Steve Bailey.
I was actually signed up for agenda item 20, which is the Heritage Grove.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Then we do not have anybody signed up. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, we're going to now close the public hearing. We're going to discuss and consider action on the first reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 18-TOD-0-026, as I described earlier. Council?
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Shepherd.
I don't get a word in with all these girls around here.
I gave it to him. I said he could second it.
We have a second by Councilmember Jeff Seiler.
Thank you.
Is there any more discussion?
I do. I have a question for Mr. Knackford. Okay. I went to that meeting with TxDOT and CTRMA, and I was wondering the one to the far left there was a discussion of whether that would be either a light or a right in, right out. With a lot of these driveways, I know TxDOT had their opinion on what to do. So if they requested that to be a right in, right out, would that be acceptable to you?
Yes, it goes much deeper than that, but if we do that project, we're probably going to have to put a center turning lane in. And if there's ever a light there, you're talking about the lower left one.
Yes.
If there's ever a light there, then we would ask to have a left out at that time. But until then,
it would be until there's a light there. Okay.
If that's what they want, without the center turning lane or with the center turning lane, that's what we're going to have to do.
Yes, because I know this is going to be a tricky area to kind of navigate with the lights and
right.
TxDOT. So, okay, thank you.
I had
That's
a question
all
for you. What's the time frame for construction?
We have been in this process to get the curb cuts for a year in the right location, and we have not been able to submit a site plan. Until we submit a site plan and go through that process and then begin construction, I'd say 6 months to a year at a minimum.
Okay.
That's what I would guess.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. We do have a first and second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. We're going to move to item 20. Conduct a public hearing regarding zoning case 18-Z-027 to amend the current zoning of interim SFR-1-B single-family rural district to SFC-2-B single-family compact district on 2 parcels of land, approximately 31.55 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031645 and R048976, generally located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Oak Grove Road and Heritage Grove Road, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Ms. Griffin.
This is a public hearing for the property located to the northeast of the intersection of Oak Grove and Heritage Grove Road. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property to SFC 2B, which is single-family compact. This zoning district would allow for homes on 50-foot wide lots. Staff did recommend approval of the request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request, and I'll be glad to answer any questions after the public hearing.
All right, thank you. We do have someone signed up, Mr. Steve Bailey. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Steve Bailey, 1850 Oak Grove Road. Oak Grove Road runs north and south from this proposed property, just to the west of it. I purchased my property near the northern end of Oak Grove Road in November of 1982. So for the past 36 years, I've had the pleasure of dealing with coming down Oak Grove Road, making the 90-degree left turn on what they now renamed Heritage Grove Road, which goes to Highway 183. My main concern about this, the proposal is to have the compact, dense housing, the compact instead of the rural. And the road at the southern end of it, the way that these people are going to go is they're going to take Heritage Grove to Highway 183. Oh my gosh, the intersection of Highway 183 and Heritage Grove Road is a death trap. It's been the biggest fear I've had for the past 36 years. If you were to take Highway 183 northbound, past San Gabriel Parkway, and now you come to Heritage Grove, there are these intense S-curves. There's 2 cement plants on each side of you. And every day when I come home, in that left-hand turn, there is no turn lane. You're in the fast lane trying to make a left turn into Heritage Grove. It's a death trap. It has got to be one of the most dangerous intersections that I'm aware of. And so now we have compact, high-density housing proposed to go right there, and we're going to be funneling all these people over to 183, and they're going to be negotiating that corner, and it really concerns me. Even today at 3:30 in the afternoon, I was at that intersection. I waited at least 5 minutes. It seemed like forever. It's very busy. Again, there's S-turns, and if you do it, if you haven't been to that intersection, I would just really ask that you do it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. As you're waiting to make that left-hand turn, S-turns, they can't see you back there. They're coming 60 miles an hour, and you're just looking in your rearview mirror. I'm even putting my hand out, trying to do anything I can do, and many times I've had people slam on their brakes. That's my primary concern right there. Secondarily, approximately 20 years ago, we worked with Greg Boatwright, I think he was a commissioner, did a special taxing entity to get that road paved because it was dirt, it was full of potholes. It's very insignificant. It's not striped. It's not a good transition.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Would anybody else like to speak on this item? All right, at this time, we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to move to discuss and consider action on the first reading of the ordinance I described earlier, zoning case 18-Z-027, to amend the current zoning of interim SFR-1-B, single-family rural district, to SFC-2-B, single-family compact. Council?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
What was that?
You wanted to say something?
We have a motion to approve by Pro Tem Stevenson with a second by Councilmember Cannon. Is there any more discussion?
I do have a question. I'm curious, at some point during the process, if we could do a traffic study to evaluate the situation there. Yes, so I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add that, please.
I'm sorry. Mr. Cagle, how do we make an amendment? Is that tied to the consultant traffic engineer that we're hiring, or?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. I mean, we would get, it could be anybody that Mr. Watts would, want to choose to do a study like that.
Okay.
All right, we do have a friendly amendment asking for a traffic study
And
added to.
Councilmember Cannon, would you accept the friendly?
I accept the friendly amendment.
Thank you.
oh, it's actually, I made the motion, so.
Yeah, it
So
goes.
would
Oh,
you
but she
accept-
seconded it?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, yes, I
Okay, do you
accept the
accept
friendly.
the friendly?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
okay.
we do have a first and a second. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, number 21, conduct a public hearing regarding special use permit 18-SU-008 to allow the construction of a crushed granite drive aisle and parking area in the Bagdad Street right-of-way, the development of a retail food park utilizing mobile airstreams or similar style trailers and or food trucks shall be placed along the perimeter of the property with a central space to provide for an eating area with tables and chairs for the patrons, and Airstream bed and breakfast, and include a 10-year term on one parcel of land, approximately 0.53 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District Parcel R036038, and more commonly known as 209 Broad Street, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Ms. Griffin.
This is a public hearing for a special use permit to allow for a food truck, retail, and bed and breakfast park. The applicant is requesting to provide Airstream and traditional food truck trailers. This will be similar to the Smooth Village project that you guys approved recently. It's about 2, maybe 3 lots to the east. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended this request, and they included a 10-year term limit. And we wanted to make it clear that we're supportive of the improvement of Bagdad Street with the crushed granite and angled parking, but they'll still have to comply with the fire department requirements. So as they phase the development, when they get deeper into the site, there's a possibility they might have to provide some paving to meet their criteria. I'll be glad to answer questions after the public hearing.
All right, the public hearing is still open. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, now we're going to close the public hearing and discuss and consider action on the first reading of the ordinance I described, the special use permit case 18-SU-008.
I'd
Council?
like to make a motion to approve staff and Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations.
I'll second, but I would like Chief Gardner to let us know if we need to do anything with that now or if it's good the way they've presented it.
We can move forward with the way it's presented currently. The special use permit does not supersede the code or life safety actions that we would take at any point during that, and that's going to be a second phase development, which will go through a site review.
Okay, thanks so
Excuse
much.
me, Chief.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any granite roads, streets right now, currently?
Not that we use for fire access, no, ma'am. This
Okay.
will not be used for fire access. That's the reason the development's going to be there. We still have Broad Street, which gives us some of the access there, so we're not totally dependent for all weather. We'll use the crushed granite and gain access there, but for all weather, the granite doesn't meet that, especially in rainy conditions, so we'll still have Broad to be able to do that.
But,
So-
I'm sorry, are you saying from Broad you can reach the
It's a-
northern
It's a
end?
stretch. That's the reason is they move to the next phase to the back. We're going to require some additional pavement in there. We'll do that for right now, but it's a stretch.
Oh, okay. I had a couple other questions.
It's about 220 foot of hose stretch.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Is there any more
I do.
discussion?
I
I
have
do.
a few more questions. Let me see who they should go to. Ms. Griffin, can I ask you a couple of questions? On special use permits, what is the standard time allotment that we allow, or does it just vary
It varies.
every time? Okay.
We used to do a lot of 5-year terms, but those are mostly model home parking lots.
Sure.
And so now we've moved to food truck parks, and they've been 10 years. So it depends on the use.
So I had understood that we allow for 10-year when there's some infrastructure investment, which obviously makes sense. So I think the chief is assuring that there will be some. Then also in regards to a bed and breakfast, what assurances do we have that that is short-term rental only and doesn't get rented out by one person for the whole year?
I'm not sure. I don't know how we would police that. That's a good question. We can do some research and try to.
Would it,
I mean,
I'm just curious what the concern would be if it were.
Well, it's billed as a bed and breakfast, but
Right.
if
No, I get
it's
that.
meant to be somebody's home,
But I mean,
there
I
would
guess you
be
could
other
potentially.
ordinances and standards that would apply, I would assume.
I'll try to answer that because that is prohibited. So it's going to be like anything else. It would be on a complaint basis, or
Okay.
so we'd have to have some sort of knowledge that that was someone's permanent or semi-permanent residence. And then you got a fact issue. It becomes a code enforcement issue.
Okay.
I see nodding.
Okay. Oh, the code enforcement back there is
Yes.
nodding. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I have, actually, don't sit down yet. I do have some questions, because I was a little bit concerned, because it says, we're saying up to, how many, 8 airstreams or 7?
14.
Streams, 14 or 15 of them. My concern is the placement of these on the property, and I'm hoping that it fits, but with parking, the required parking, and with the footprint that they take up, and also I'm not sure how many significant hardwood trees are there that is this going to fit, and has that been looked at?
So they will have to comply with our tree ordinance. So if they take out trees, they have to follow the mitigation regulations. It looks like they're proposing 14. So it's 7 on the south side of the alley and then 7 on the north side of the alley. Currently, the Old Town area does not have a minimum parking requirement. And
Oh, really?
Right.
Seriously? Okay.
And they're proposing angled parking along the Bagdad Street right-of-way to accommodate their visitors.
How many parking lot spaces?
I'm not sure how many spaces they're proposing.
That's a bit of a concern, though.
Yeah.
Well, with the improvement along Brushy,
So
I think
okay,
we'll
she
have
addresses
some.
it.
You'll have
Can I ask
enough?
the applicant
'Cause I
to
am-
address?
Yes.
Does Brushy have parking?
It will.
Brushy?
I'm sorry,
Broad, yes. So if you look at Broad Street where Smooth Village is, we have some striped spaces, and I think they have a lot of right-of-way. I'd have to check. I don't know if it extends that far. Yeah. But I think she wants to come up and
Great.
talk about it.
All right. This would be great, yes.
My name is Jeannie Snyder, and my husband and I, Mark and myself, are the ones that are developing it's called Wildfire Park. So I wanted to address a few of those questions. I do have a plat of our plan as to where these trailers will be placed. And what we've done is we've triangulated each of the trees that are on the property. I don't want to take down even tiny little pecan trees, if they're an inch big. So we have drawn it out so that these airstreams are along the perimeter of the property, and we've adjusted it. We may not be able to fit that many based on where the trees are. We went out there and measured that. So we are definitely taking all of the trees into consideration, and it will just be along the perimeter of the property. Airstreams are only about 30 feet long at the maximum, and they're 8 feet wide. So the space that they take up is fairly small. So technically, we could actually fit more than what we have proposed. But we wanted space to be able to move about freely and go in between the trailers and get from parking, over to the park. So the parking, there is the angled parking along Broad Street, and it extends almost not to the end of our property where Bagdad meets, but so we have that on Broad Street, and then we were planning on using, it's just a field now, but the extension of Bagdad as additional places to park. So does that answer?
I don't know if that's permitted for parking on grass in the city. Are there different rules for Old Town?
Well, go ahead.
So they're required to park on the crushed granite, and her plan was showing the crushed granite parking spaces next to the drive aisle in Bagdad Street.
Oh, I see. Not on your phase two. Are you actually going to phase it out? Phase 1 is south of the alley? Okay.
Yeah, we were wanting to phase it out so that we could get open and get the front part built out, and then we can do the back part. So when we develop the back part, then we'll be having to improve Bagdad Street.
Sure.
So,
for access.
And then the front part's going to be the bread and breakfast? Is that, or is it going to be a mixed use right now? I mean.
We just had one person approach us that was interested in doing a bed and breakfast, and so we put that in there in case, just so you have an idea of different types of Airstream businesses that we could have. We thought it would be a really neat thing to have.
It does sound neat.
So they could be staying in Old Town and, have access to all the, the farmers markets right there. And so the retail shops and food right there. So we thought it would be a neat idea.
What are your hours of operation?
Well, to start with, it'll be mostly on the weekends. So just depending on how much traffic we have, it'll probably be Thursday through Sunday to begin with.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
This will be Airstream style only? We're not talking about anything else, RVs or anything?
No RVs. No RVs at all. No, we want it to be really cool and retro, vintage Airstream park.
Okay, so they're all
vintage.
rounded.
So, they'll either be, the only ones that we've had so far have been Airstream trailers. So, but we, anything that's cool, like we've seen some of the vintage style trailers that they're not Airstreams, but they're, it'll be at our discretion to make sure that these trailers don't look junky, they're well kept, they're cute, and, something that we would want to see on our property. We want to keep it, we don't want it to look bad. So.
Right. Okay, and then the other question I have is with people that are staying overnight, especially on weekends, how do you plan to deal with noise complaints from bands and such that are on the nearby property?
Noise complaints from the people who are staying in the bed and breakfast?
Yes.
We'll just have to address that up front and let them know, look, here's where you're staying. You're staying in the middle of an entertainment district, basically.
Okay,
and, this is the kind of things that are happening here. We've got live music. I mean, honestly, I think that's going to be the draw.
Right.
I don't think it'll really be a bad thing, but we can put that in the, just so they'll know up front. This is where you're staying. It's,
I'm actually more concerned about the light and the noise for the residents that are living there across the street. Excuse me, Ms. Griffin, but do you know if the noise and the light ordinances, what they are
I can look it up.
in
But they would
Old
still-
Town? Are they different?
It's the same as the city, so there's not a special noise ordinance in Old Town. So it's the same one that applies everywhere else in the city.
So this too would go back to the complaint issue. That's what would initiate any
Right.
address. Okay.
Right.
We should certainly share those timeframes with you, just so you know, because it also applies to, tell us. Okay.
Under control.
I have a question for you. If there was a bed and breakfast, would that typically be rented through Airbnb or?
we were thinking going through Airbnb.
Okay.
They have, good standards. It's a great way to market. And it's also a great way to get people attracted to Old Town and, make this a destination. So that might be a good way to advertise it and market.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Any more discussion? All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete with P&Z recommendations and a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, we're going to move to number 22. Conduct a public hearing regarding special use permit case 18-SU-009 to allow for the temporary residential use of 2 travel trailers or recreational vehicles to be used by an individual constructing their own home for not more than a period of 2 years on 3 parcels of land, approximately 18.166 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031367, R374610, and R332693, more commonly known as 701 Henthorn Way, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Ms. Griffin.
This is a public hearing for a special use permit to allow for the temporary use of recreational vehicles for residential purposes while the property owner rebuilds their home. There was a fire on this property that destroyed their home, and they are requesting 2 trailers for their family to live in while they're building the home. Our ordinance does limit it to a 1-year time period, and they're requesting 2 years because they're the fire is still under investigation, and I think it's going to take a lot longer to get it finished. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request, and they actually extended the time frame to 3 years. I'll be glad to answer questions after the public hearing.
All right, the public hearing is still open. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, now we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to move to discuss and consider action on first reading of an ordinance regarding special use permit case 18-SU-009 to allow for the temporary residential O2 travel trailers or recreation vehicles to be used by an individual constructing their own home for not more than a period of 2 years on 3 parcels of land, approximately 18.166 acres, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031367, R374610, and R332693, more commonly known as 701 Henthorn Way, Leander, Williamson County, Texas.
Council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the original recommendation and ask for the 2-year.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I think it's certainly challenging to lose a home and then have to fight insurance company for reimbursement to do the rebuild, so I think it's a reasonable request.
Right, we have a motion to approve with the 2 years by Councilmember Navarrete and a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there any more discussion?
Yes, I have some questions. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I listened to the P&Z minutes, and the applicant was there talking about the ongoing nature of the investigation, and then she couldn't even start anything with construction after that. And I think that moving it to a 3-year is appropriate.
She can always come back and apply for another 2 or 3. I had a couple of, and I guess we could ask Chief Gardner where we sit on the investigation because it's been about a year. So I would guess they've started something. I had a question. I'm not sure to whom I should address it. This is in regards to access to this site.
I think that would be him too.
I think it's Ms. Griffin.
There he is.
What is the access to this site?
So currently they have access through Henthorn Way.
Is that the future Raider Way?
Whoa, that's neat. It's right here.
Okay.
That's their access point that's been in place forever.
Okay. And is it accessible by fire trucks? Just asking the question.
Apologize, you're going to have to get me caught back up. We were talking about an Airbnb ordinance outside to make sure that they were compliant with some things before they left here.
We are talking about Miss Kane's unfortunate situation being a fire in her home, and apparently, I guess it's been close to a year, and she said the investigation hasn't started, or could you just catch us up?
It's an ongoing investigation that I can't discuss in here. Right
Okay. Curious, do they typically take a year?
With certain criminal activity or suspicious activity, it may, yes.
Okay.
And we have met with their people, we've met with their investigators also already.
Okay. Also, my question was access off of 2243. Can you get a fire truck down that way?
We can. It just scrapes the lights off the side of it. I've got 3 fleet reports, 2 from us and 1 from Liberty Hill that show that. But yes, we can.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow.
I also just wanted to ask the question. I don't know who it goes to, but I'm assuming this is for personal use only, and none of these are going to be rented out. Okay, thank you.
Is there any more discussion? Right, we have a motion to approve for the 2 years and a second. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Right, at this time, we're going to move to number 23, conduct a public hearing regarding the approval of a resolution approving a resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Incorporated, authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Incorporated, City of Leander, Texas, contract revenue bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project, Series 2018, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can you read all that over for me?
Probably not as well. Appreciate the opportunity to present this item to you. You may recall, in April of this year, City Council authorized the BCRUA to submit an application to the Texas Water Development Board for the next phase of the plant expansion, Phase 1D, design of Phase 1D, as well as design of Phase 2, which is the deep water intake. In July of this year, the Water Development Board accepted the BCRUA's application, and in August of this year, you approved the financing plan. Wait, there's more. And last week, the Brushy Creek Board of Directors approved the bond resolution subject to your ratification this evening. The city's charter requires a public hearing before the city can issue any debt. This is contract revenue debt paid through by the City of Leander utility system, so it is not supported by any tax debt. Mayor, with your permission, we have the design engineer, Mr. Aaron Archer, with Walker Partners, who has a brief presentation on the project, and if we could do that now before the public hearing, we'd appreciate that.
That'd be great.
And I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have bond counsel if we get those questions. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, and in particular on the Phase 2 Deepwater Intake Project. I've got a relatively short agenda for the presentation. I wanted to start by just giving an overview on the BCRUA system and what it is, and how the Phase 2 Deepwater Intake merges into that overall design. I then wanted to talk about the project schedule and highlight some major upcoming activities, including final design of Phase 2, and lastly wanted to end with a funding update. So the BCRUA Regional Water System is a multi-phase system, and Phase 1 consists of a temporary floating intake on Lake Travis, a water plant in Cedar Park, and then the red lines that you can see here, which are pipelines to convey water from the lake to the water treatment plant, and then from the water treatment plant to delivery points for Cedar Park, Round Rock, and Leander. Phase 1 was actually divided into 4 different sub-phases, 1A through 1D. Phase 1A and 1B are complete, and that makes the capacity of this system about 22 million gallons per day. Phase 1C has been designed, and construction on that project is going to start a little bit later this winter. And then Phase 1D is a future phase that needs to be completed when the deepwater intake Phase 2 is completed. Phase 2 is upgrades to the raw water system. It includes a new deepwater intake in the lake, a new pump station, and then tunnels to connect that intake to the pump station and the pump station to your existing infrastructure. And then Phase 3 are future expansions that are way out beyond 2050. Looking a little bit closer at the Phase 2 deepwater intake, the intake itself is in Lake Travis in the Sandy Creek arm near the village of Valente, close to Starnes Island. You can see highlighted on the map there's a maintenance building site. That's a site that was acquired a couple years ago with the purpose of treating the intake in that system for invasive mussels. and of course that's now a real problem as those mussels have been discovered in the lake. The blue line is a tunnel that conveys the water from that intake back to a remotely located pump station, which will be sited adjacent to the Cedar Park water plant on Lime Creek Road. And then the gold line is another tunnel that conveys water back underneath the lake to the existing pipeline in Trails End Road, which is the red line. The capacity of the Phase 2 project is about 145 million gallons per day at build-out when it's completed and at ultimate capacity. And you can see the capacity allocations for the three member cities. What I wanted to highlight on this table in particular is that the capacities you see for Cedar Park and Leander include Cedar Park and Leander's capacity in the BCRUA water plant, but also additional capacity to provide water to your existing water plant in Lake Travis, and also Cedar Park's existing water plant down on Lake Travis. So now let's talk about the capacity requirements for the system and how that drives the schedule for the project. You can see on the x-axis is time in years, and on the y-axis is capacity requirements in million gallons per day. The gold line is the combined cumulative capacity requirement for the three member cities, Cedar Park, Round Rock, and Leander. That's the water that the three cities need from the BCRUA water treatment plant, which of course increases with time as the cities grow. What you can see there at 2018 is that right now that is about 8 million gallons per day. And the dashed black line is today's capacity for the BCRUA water plant. When Phase 1C is completed, the capacity of that system will be about 32.5 million gallons per day. And that'll be the most water that we can pump from the floating intake on Lake Travis up to the plant. So at that point, where the blue line intersects the gold line, is when the Phase 2 deepwater intake needs to be online. That's the point at which you can no longer keep up with the demand requirements for the city from that floating intake on the lake. That's also the time that the Phase 1D water plant expansion would need to be completed. It's a complementary expansion at the plant to treat the additional water that would be required. So working back from that critical date at the end of 2026, you can set the schedule and the sequence of activities that need to occur between today and the end of 2026. So looking at the red dashed line, the first task, of course, is to jump into final design of Phase 2. It's a significant project, and the final design phase is budgeted to take about 2.5 years. While final design is occurring, construction of the Phase 1C water plant expansion would be completed in the last half of 2020. Another important milestone at the beginning of 2021 is if the member cities want to obtain funding from the Texas Water Development Board SWIFT program, which is how the plant expansion Phase 1C is being funded. It's also how final design of Phase 2 is being funded. Then that application would need to be submitted at the beginning of 2021. Those funds would then become available at the end of 2021, which syncs up well with when a contractor would need to start their work at the beginning of 2022. Construction is estimated to require about 5 years to complete the project, which then brings it online at the end of 2026. And you can see down below is Phase 1D. Phase 1D is a much smaller but separate project, and it can be completed during construction of Phase 2. So those activities don't start until we're in the construction phase for the deep water intake. So looking at funding, there's really three main items that need to be complete before construction on Phase 2 can commence. The first, of course, is we need to complete design of the Phase 2 project. The second big effort is to complete acquisition of all the land rights that are required for the project. There's about 150 or so easements that will be needed for the project. And then lastly, there are certain improvements to the PEC electrical grid that need to be completed before construction begins to bring power to the site so the contractor can do their work, and to relocate some utilities that are currently at the pump station site and need to be moved out of the way before the contractor begins. The total budget to complete these activities is about $24.8 million, and the three cities are using combinations of different funding sources to complete that work. including 2018 SWIFT loan from the Texas Water Development Board that's scheduled to close the middle of this month, actually in about 2 weeks. Phase 1A savings, residual savings from the first phase of the project that was completed in 2012, and also some cash funding. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
The public hearing is still open. If you'd hold your questions till we close the public hearing, we may call you back up. At this time, nobody is signed up to speak. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, we're going to now close the public hearing and move to discuss and consider action on a resolution approving the resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, City of Leander, Texas, contract revenue bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project, Series 2018, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Council?
I'd like to motion to approve.
Second.
And also, I'd just like to comment, thank you, Mr. Archer, and thank you, Mr. Leander, and David for coming this evening and just kind of catching up. It was really important to Mr. Seiler and I to make sure that the council received the latest update on where we are with BCRUA. So.
Right, we do have a motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete with a second by Councilmember Seiler.
Archer, one question.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Archer, would you mind going back to the chart on the percentages? I just want to make sure everybody understands that there it was.
That was it.
This chart is the percentage of the deep water intake.
That's correct.
And so there's different percentages. There's a percentage of the BCRU, a water treatment plant. And then right now there's even different percentages for the operations of that plant because there's only 2 cities taking water. So this can get confusing. You see different, and there's 3, and there may even, I think that's really it, isn't it, Wayne? 3 major percentages on how funding is allocated based on use of the deep water intake, use of the plant, and then operations of the plant.
That's correct. Each city has a different capacity allocation of raw water and treated water, and they're not the same.
Mr. Archer, I had a few questions. Obviously, there is a lot of moving parts to this, so I commend all of y'all for juggling all that. If you could simplify it for me, please, and let me know when the financial impact is going to hit our citizens in their monthly bill.
I think that would be Mr. Powers.
Oh, okay.
I failed to mention in my presentation, so I appreciate the question. The City of Leander took advantage of the Water Development Board's program called the Deferred Loan Program, and our loan payments, we're borrowing $8.77 million, but our loan payments do not start for 8 years, and there's no interest accrual during that time. So it is, it's not like you're deferring interest, then you have a big balloon at the end of the year. So this project that we're speaking to tonight does not have a financial impact on the utility rates for 8 years. Now, the city is funding a portion of the electrical improvements with cash. We've already budgeted for that and set it aside in a reserve fund, so that money is there. So that piece will not impact utility rates either.
And so, I'm just guessing here, but I'm pretty sure 8.7 million isn't going to pay all the bills. So, but basically you're saying the construction costs, which we'll see coming down the pipeline, those aren't going to even come before us for 8 years?
Oh, no. Now we get into Wayne and Mr. Archer's territory. The design is 2.5 years from this point forward, and then based on one of the slides that was shown, the desires to have Phase 2 constructed by 2027 means that by 2022 you would need to start construction. So
okay, so if I
at
understand,
that time we need to borrow more money for the construction phase.
okay, And so the 8-year deferment, I understood that that is deferred up until the date that we begin construction. Do I? No? Wayne's saying no.
Well, I was incorrect when I previously, I was under that same impression too. But
Okay.
we clarified it with the Water Development Board. Future construction is unrelated to this loan this evening, so it's 8 years deferred.
Okay.
Because this is the design phase of the project.
Right, and even though there will be construction, it's not related to our part of this loan.
And so if we're on schedule, which I trust you guys to stay on schedule, we're hitting around, 2022 when we'll start to need to discuss funds for construction. Is that correct? Do I know?
It would be, you would
Okay.
really, if you wanted to apply for funding through the Water Development Board, that date to submit the application would be the beginning of 2021. The funds would not become available, the loans would not close until the end of the year. And just one clarification on the deferred loan, it's an 8-year deferment or until construction is complete, which is close to the same time frame. So
Okay.
they're basically synced for this project.
Okay.
And that was the special financing that they were able to obtain. Other cities were.
Absolutely.
They went in at 2 years, and that kind of allows our growth and our need of water at the time for the capacity to kind of mesh up. Construction-wise, we're on a very tight schedule to make, before that axis meets, so we're out of water.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm just, again, wanting to know when our citizens are going to see it in their bill. So that's why I was asking.
I had a question, Mr. Powers. We run a surplus today on the utility fund, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that surplus at the end of the year, does that tend to go towards paying off infrastructure requirements related to utilities? Or does it typically go into the golf fund?
No, sir. All of the revenues in the utility fund stay within the utility fund. If you recall the finance report from the last week, it hasn't been very long since we were not in the black. So the last two fiscal years, we've ended the utility fund in the black, which is a positive surplus. What we have done through Mr. Cagle's direction in the budgeting process is begin to invest, not all that surplus, but begin to invest those surplus funds into infrastructure maintenance projects that are not eligible for impact fees, and we certainly don't want to borrow debt for projects that we can handle with cash. So we are reinvesting some of that surplus and still attempting to maintain a 25% fund balance reserve.
Based on the projections of growth, do you foresee us staying in the black for the next, let's just say, the 8 years while we're deferred payments?
Well, I don't want to predict past the date.
We'll just hold you to 6.
I don't want to predict past the date that we are having the discussion on the deep water intake construction.
Okay.
So if that's 4 years from now.
Is that when those two numbers will kind of get closer together?
It's all going to depend on customer connections and usage per connection. And we're not talking about wastewater, but that's the other half of the utility system, and we have some big projects in the future there too. So when a customer gets their bill, it includes water and wastewater. So I don't want to, mislead anybody that wastewater doesn't have significant projects in the future too.
Okay.
So did I dance around your answer?
For the next 4 years, we feel good about the rate. So a year ago, we had a 5-year rate study done, and all the things we're talking about were taken into account. But now we've already had 1 year pass, so as Mr. Powers said, out through those 4 years, we feel really good about it, and we can probably build up some fund balance to address that debt issue when the time comes, as well as a little rate relief that we saw this year on taking the water reserve charge down from 5 to 4.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Powers. All right, at this time,
Thank y'all for all your work.
we're going to move to our regular agenda. Number 24, we're going to see a presentation from Retail Strategies. This is sponsored by myself. At our TML, Retail Strategies was one of the booths that we visited, and they've got some really interesting services that they could offer our city, and I thought it would be useful to council to hear a presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's an honor to be here today and present to you what it would look like, a partnership between Retail Strategies and the City of Leander. We have a team of about 30 people, and we branched out of a commercial real estate firm with the sole purpose of helping municipalities recruit retailers and restaurants to their city. We're very unique in that aspect, that we are heavily focused on commercial real estate. We're not just a data provider. We have a lot of data, and it's a part of our process, but really our focus is on commercial real estate. We work with the industry leaders. I host a monthly webinar with real estate managers and the editor-in-chief of Nation's Restaurant News and people of this caliber to help educate the industry on the trends that we're seeing in retail. And we've received accolades on our commercial real estate experience. With that, we understand that you have a goal here in Leander to bring new businesses to town because you understand that it increases your sales tax revenue, increases your jobs, increases your quality of life, and that really strong, vibrant retail and restaurant base actually helps you attract those other high-paying jobs as well, the medical jobs, the office jobs, all those that you really want to bring to town, and that's where we come into play. What we provide is we save you time by proactive outreach. Our team works in this industry all day, every day, so we have the connections and the experience and the resources that we can bring to empower you to achieve your goals. We understand that you want to bring new restaurants and retailers here to help alleviate the property tax burden. We talked earlier about retail and how it looks on your sales tax, how you're generating. And the great news is that it's increasing at about 14%. The national average is about 4%, so you're doing very well. But I do see a lot of capacity to bring additional businesses here. And you also have a great deal of leakage, which we'll talk about in a little bit. What we would do is work with the retailers and the developers and work as an extension of your staff to make connections happen that might not happen otherwise. We understand that you have a goal to bring new casual dining restaurants and have very targeted outreach to the developers and the retailers with conference representation. And we provide solutions in that space. We do market analysis. We spend 6 figures a year in our market research. I won't bore you with all the details of that. Just know that we have a lot of research, and we align ourselves with all the same research providers that the national retailers have. We do a boots-on-the-ground assessment. We send our team of real estate professionals here to do an inventory of all your assets, and then we develop a strategic plan for you. Now, understanding a plan isn't any good unless you put it into use. This is not a study that sits on a shelf. This is not just demographics and data. This is a proactive outreach plan in which we report back monthly the results of those conversations that we've had. And we have a goal, just like you, to create results at the end of the day. So we have a 4-step process I'll walk you through on a very high level. First of all, it's about discovery. There's a lot of information we have. By the time we get done with our analysis, we give you over 23,000 different variables. I know you don't want to go into all that, but we can tell you the average household's expenditure for wet cat food within a 3-mile radius ring. I mean, it is that detailed. But one of the coolest and potentially creepiest things we can provide is mobile tracking data. So if your location services are on your phone, we can track that. And what we do, we buy that information and we look at consumer shopping patterns. So we can analyze you beyond just the municipal boundaries, beyond the radius rings, beyond the drive times, and do that customized trade area and use that marketing message to promote Leander and your opportunity. We look at a gap analysis. This is a very high-level run that we did quickly. Our full analysis will go in much more detail. But looking at your top categories of leakage, there are apparel and accessories, there are restaurants, their building materials, and personal health. You can see a great deal of leakage there. And we can analyze these on a case-by-case basis. But you have a great deal of leakage to Cedar Park and surrounding communities with the retail amenities that they have, and leakage online as well. So that's our goal, is to plug those gaps. We look at you in comparison to other communities of similar size and makeup. We look at, based on retail nodes within drive times, which retailers and restaurants are in those peer communities that are not in Leander, and how can we attract them? And then we help, yes?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
so you
absolutely.
use the HEB location?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So is that, those numbers you come up with, are those based on?
This is a 10-minute drive time from the HEB.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that pretty much anywhere.
Anywhere, anytime, absolutely. And so what we do in our final report we give you, we do it on that customized trade area, which has not been drawn yet. But we can, that's a part of this process. Any of the research that we have is live time. As you request a report, as we have a project, we can run it. Each retailer has a different set of site selection criteria that they're looking at. So as we prospect, we run a customized report for that prospect or for that developer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then we want to put together a customized pitch. You have a lot of great things, explosive growth happening here in Leander. And this is a message we need to put together and deliver to our national network of developers and retailers that are out there. The great things you have going with Austin Community College, with the new hospital that you have coming, being one of the fastest growing communities in the country. These are the types of things that we need to share that go far beyond the demographics. You've been preparing for this growth for over a decade, so the time is really right for a company like Retail Strategies to come in and work with you. I'm going to tell you a 5-year story in about 30 seconds here. This is Cookeville, Tennessee. They engaged us about 5 years ago. The community has about 32,000 people. Through our mobile tracking data, we proved that they have a trade area of about 200,000. Started delivering that message to several different retailers, and the retailer said, we're interested, we don't have the right site. There's a piece of property here that was a prime piece of property, but unfortunately it had wetlands on it. So the next step was finding a developer that was willing to get over the hurdles of the wetlands. We put all that together, determined we needed a public-private partnership, and 4 years. They engaged us 5 years ago. We started working on this project 4 years ago, and it is open today, generating over 600 new jobs and $2.5 million a year in new tax revenue for the city of Cookeville. And you see a quote here from the developer talking about how we helped in that process. So once you have the analysis, the next step is the boots on the ground. We want to look at home run real estate. As I mentioned earlier, all the retailers are looking at different things whenever they're looking for how they can be profitable. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the retailer is going to look at the cost of operation versus their estimated sales volume and how profitable they're going to be. And you're competing all over the country for these things. So we want to go in and look at each piece of property. This is just an example. We have a proprietary software where we drive the market and look at all the properties that are viable for new retail development. Now, this might be raw land, good for new development, which is the majority of what you'll see here in Leander, but it could be vacant space in a shopping center that already exists, or highest and best use. Whether it's on the market or not, we catalog this property, and then we look at the retailers that might make sense, and when we get engaged, we call the property owner or the tenant rep or whoever might be the landlord rep. We say, we're here working on behalf of the city. What are the goals for your property, and how can we help you achieve those? And then we really dig in on a high level, and if some of the property owners or the representatives of the properties don't have the data or GIS capabilities that we have, we can create those for them as a service to you. This is an example of Moline, Illinois, where Dick's Sporting Goods was looking at the market. They were only going to open 50 locations. Of course, they look at 1,000 sites or more. And we found out from the mall owners they were about to pump a lot of money into redevelopment. We delivered that information to Dick's Sporting Goods, and it put them over the edge to open a new location in that mall. You also see a quote here from Jeff Miller, who is a local commercial broker in Moline. And he talks about how Retail Strategies really helped him and gave him exposure to retailers that he didn't have otherwise. So another success story about where we've worked with the retailers and the local brokerage community. But what we understand is you are the local expert. You are Leander. You live and breathe this community all day, every day. We are the retail experts. So what we want to do is take your local message, package it up, and deliver it to a national platform. And it's an ongoing process. One of the steps that we take is a community survey. And this is an outreach to the local citizens. It guarantees 1,000 responses and says, who do you most want to see open in Leander? We have up to 5 questions we can customize, and the platform through this is through Facebook. So it gives us a lot of great feedback, and we look at the top 15 brands that the citizens would like to see in Leander. We can then analyze which ones are viable, go chase them. The ones that maybe aren't expanding right now or are more of a long-term goal, we can provide that message to you so you can help manage expectations of the citizens about what's feasible and what's a more immediate goal and what's a long-term goal. And then ultimately, after you have the data and the real estate, you want to start making connections. As I mentioned earlier, we're not just a data provider. All this is a study, but it needs to be put into action. These are your dedicated professionals that would work with Leander. I showed you our team of 30 earlier, but each one of the people on this slide in some way, shape, or form will be involved with our implementation. The top center is Chris Bontrager. He's your portfolio director, will be the main point of contact working with you, and he'll be working with Mark Willis on a monthly level, talking to him about updating on the conversations that we've had and going back and forth to identify any hurdles that might exist that you can help us overcome to attract new businesses here. We have a whole team of research and marketing. Our data scientist actually has a background of working with Amazon and Sam's Club, so she really knows what she's doing. And then we take this information and we attend conferences. International Council of Shopping Centers is ICSC. We attend over 20 of these. We'd represent you at these conferences and come back with a report of the conversations we had on your behalf. Retail Live is a conference here in Austin annually where we're a large participant. We're a platinum sponsor at that event. So it's a great way of getting exposure for Leander in places that you might not otherwise have that exposure. We develop a marketing guide. In your packet on the left side, there's an example of Burleson, Texas, of what that marketing guide looks like. And this is everything that a developer or retailer wants to see really summarized in a one-pager. We also customize a retail website for you, and this will cross-reference with your website. So if it's somebody from the industry that's trying to do their research at 2 a.m., they have everything they need in one place online. And this is Dubuque, Iowa, one of the clients that we have worked with. And you can see where there's about 17 retailers that we have somehow influenced in Dubuque, had conversations with, and it's added about $20 million of taxable income to Dubuque. It's been a great partnership, and we're very fortunate to have a great deal of success there in Dubuque. We've worked with them for about 4 years. And ultimately, our goal is to grow. It's about persistence. It's about constant outreach. And we are really your outsourced research concierge. We can provide this research on anything. The market changes. I would argue that retail is perhaps the most dynamic of all the commercial real estate sectors. So it's constantly changing. And what I tell you is true today will not be true 12 months from now. I've been in this industry 15 years, and it's just constantly you have to stay on top of these trends. And that's what we do on your behalf. We take that information and apply it to the strategy that we've built for you. Our timelines are, in the first 30 days, it's all about market research. The next 30 days, it's about coming up with the inventory of properties, and after 90 days, we deliver that plan to you. We begin that proactive outreach, and at 120 days, we can customize the website. Now, one thing to be aware of that's very important is the upcoming Red Rivers Conference. This is International Council of Shopping Centers, ICSC. This is in replacement of the Texas ICSC that used to be in the summer, fall. They have changed it now. It is going to be in January this year. So I'd definitely ask you to consider moving forward with retail strategies in the next month, if possible, so we can represent you at the Red River State. We're sending a group of 9 people. We will have a booth there. We're going to have a very active presence at this conference. And it's all the developers and retailers that are very active in Texas right now will be attending that. And ultimately, your goal and our goal is to create success. It's very much about a partnership. And I can tell you about that success, but it better comes from the communities that we've worked with. In your packet in the back, you have a series of testimonials from our community partners. This is a quote from Sonolito, and she talks about how they have deals in the works right now that they believe would not be happening if not for retail strategies in our partnership. Here's a quote from Brian Murphy, who is talking about how he had previously worked with another company similar to ours, and the difference in us. The difference is we maintain a 5-to-1 client-to-staff ratio. So as we add new municipalities, we staff up so that you get the one-on-one attention that you need. And this is really about creating conversations and remaining very persistent in the outreach that we find for the opportunities. And this is a quote from our CEO, Robert Jolly. And it's not just about what we're going to give you, it's about what we are going to build together in this partnership. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself the question, are you better off with us than you are without us? And I, with confidence, could answer that question, yes, you would be. So I thank you very much for your consideration, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Ms. Beasley, what do you think is your value proposition, or why do you think Retail Strategies is the preferred vendor over Retail Coach or Buxton or some of the other big players out there?
Yeah, great question. The way that we're very different than the Buxton Group is they're primarily an analytics firm. They come from that background of strong research, and we have all the data that's available. It's all out there. But what we understand is it's commercial real estate. It's the process beyond the data that really matters, and that's how we're different from the Buxton Group, is the conversations that we create and the staff we have behind those conversations. The way that we're different from the Retail Coach is that we maintain a 5-to-1 client-to-staff ratio with 30 people. I believe they have around 9 people and maybe closer to 400 municipalities that they work with. So a very different client-to-staff ratio. So it's really that time and attention that we can provide you.
I had a quick question. Obviously, your specialty is retail.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a different branch within your company, or who else do we turn to for campus-type employers?
Our research, we have about 2,300 different variables, so we can look very specifically for all that information. So we'll just dig through it and find what we can. If it gets outside of retail, we do have information like student enrollments in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people use us for things outside of retail.
Okay.
And especially as it comes to entrepreneurs, our main focus is the regional and national brands, but even entrepreneurs that are looking to open a new business, then we can help with the research with that as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're including restaurants in
Absolutely,
retail,
yes, thank
correct?
you, yes.
Okay, good.
In fact, about 40% of the expansion in this commercial real estate space for retailers and restaurants is restaurants right now. So restaurants are hot. That's where all the activity is currently, because it's about experiences, and a lot of the millennials are driving these shopping patterns. I was thrilled to hear about the Airstream Park. I just think that's incredibly cool. It's an opportunity for a selfie, which is, what is really driving a lot of the shopping patterns today. And we're studying those trends and understanding that we really have to make those changes. Traditional thinking in economic development was to go after those high-paying jobs. The rooftops follow that, and the retail takes care of itself. But it's a different world today. You have to have that holistic approach to building your community, and retail is a major component of that, because we don't have the same type of employment loyalty. We don't find a job and stay in it for 30 years. We've moved to a community that we love because it has a good school system and a vibrant retail and restaurant base, and then we find a job. So that's why retail is so important, and that's why our company is so relevant today. We're really here based out of a need. We branched out of a commercial real estate firm because so many cities said, we want help, and had a difficult time navigating those waters without us.
Interesting.
How do you see the future of retail? I mean, break it down for me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Sure.
say retail, you're including restaurants.
Yes,
what
absolutely.
other kind of new retail do you see as we hear about, more online shopping, which
Yes.
I'm totally guilty of that.
Right.
How
We
does that
all are.
affect
Yes.
what you can provide, and how do you
Absolutely.
stay on top of that and bring that value to us?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always watching those trends, and they're constantly changing. So only about 9.5% of overall retail sales are conducted online. And that's a U.S. Census Bureau stat, and it shocks a lot of people to know that it's only 9%.
What year was that based on?
The U.S. Census Bureau takes overall retail sales, and only 9% of those are e-commerce.
But what year was that done?
That's right now. That's currently. Every quarter they update it.
Okay.
Yes. So, and it is growing. There are estimates. Some analysts say it'll max out at 20%. Now, it varies by categories, and that's obviously changing things. But what the retailers are looking at is what they call omni-channeling, which is that seamless integration between online sales and brick and mortar location. They have to have both. So you see Amazon buying out Whole Foods is a testament of that. Amazon's looking to do more of a brick and mortar play. At the same time, you see Walmart putting their emphasis in online sales. So all of this is driven by Wall Street. You know, you go back and how are they making their investors happy? And traditionally, they made them happy by announcing new store openings or same store sale increases. Now there's a third component to that, which is online sales. But really, what they're finding is that they have to have both brick and mortar and online.
Interesting.
Somebody sent me a study. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Somebody sent me a study talking about Walmart, and they tend to buy up the land around them, and so they're turning these into the mixed-use type developments
That's right.
that you would traditionally see by some other company other than Walmart.
That's right.
Where do we, looking at who's doing it, obviously Sears is not a good anchor, but, is Target still a viable source? I know they haven't been opening in the last few years many new stores.
That's right. Target is, for a while, they were calling it City Target. Now they've just gone to regular Target, but it goes in major metro urban areas, and it's a smaller footprint. It's more like a oversized CVS store. So that's their focus right now. They tried to expand in Canada. That did not work. That hurt them pretty bad. They had a data breach. So they've really changed the way that they do their traditional site selection and expansion. In the past, they would do a power center where Target would locate and all the usual suspects would line up, and that's just not the reality of how they expand today. So there's a lot of retailers looking at changing their footprints. They're calling it right sizing, so taking that large box and really bringing it down a little bit. So it's a lot about co-tenancy right now, and so it's lining up all the interested brands and then finding the property and then finding the developer. So it's much harder to get retail today, which is why I believe we add a great deal of value.
Do you mind if I ask you a question specific to the Leander market?
Sure.
Okay. We recently had a presentation where somebody said that there's so much retail in Cedar Park that there's no demand to come up here. Do you agree with that? And if so, how do we get around that?
Great question. I did spend some time driving around Cedar Park, looking at the brands that they have there and looking at the park and the Super Target, and they really do. They dominate in that big box era. So the question is, it's too close for a lot of those brands to repeat themselves right now in Leander. That might change in the future. It's interesting because I look about a little bit further south in Austin, and I think there's some interesting things around Lakeline Mall. Malls are challenged across the country. It's a Simon-owned property, and what you're seeing a lot is demolling, and as some of those retailers get to the end of their lease, they're looking to relocate. So there might be some options to look at some of the brands that are further south of Cedar Park and see if there's an option for them to relocate up to Leander. So I'd be very interested in that. I'd also be interested to look at those really unique brands. What you have here is just so cool. It gets me very excited when I spent the time here because you have the housing growth, which matters. You have everything that are all the drivers. I mean, the rail ending, the metro rail coming all the way here to Leander, the college, the medical. I mean, you have all the components and primarily the high income. There's disposable income that's here. So that's where it takes me back to thinking about what are the restaurant groups that are really dominant in Austin and how can we get them to open their restaurant brands here. I think that's going to be a better play for you than just to chase all the national big box. Big box is good. We do want to look at that, but I can see a more immediate opportunity in some of the cool, unique restaurants.
You think the restaurants will come here without like a retail center around them?
I do think they like synergy, yes. So I do think it's going to take a lot. And I was thrilled to talk with Mark earlier and hear about some of these mixed-use developments. That's a large trend we're seeing right now. When we go to Las Vegas to recon that conference, there's Typically, well, this year there were about 32,000 people there, 1 million square feet of exhibitor space. It's a huge conference, and a lot of the feedback I got from developers is that they're going more towards mixed use. So that is the trend that we're seeing, that we're following right now. And a lot of that is anchored by restaurant concepts.
I have a question for you. So, we see grocery stores open and they have pad spaces around the
Yes.
grocery store. So what they tend to do is they hire commercial real estate people whose job it is to lease out pad spots. And if that's 4 salons or 4 nail salons, then that's what you'll see. So how do you recommend that cities work with the companies to try to get a variety? Because ultimately, if they did have that variety, it brings more people to the shopping center who are going to frequent the grocery store. So it's incumbent upon them to do that, yet we don't see them do that. We do see multiple uses, the same haircutters, over and over again. So how do you get past that?
It's a great question, and we'd like to work with them in any way that we can to present opportunities. You're right. A lot of brokers they're commission based, and so they tend to want to make transactions happen to get that commission. I understand that. I used to be one, so I get it. I think it's making those opportunities easy for them, and that's where I find a great deal of value in our services is to deliver that lead on a silver platter, the hard-to-find lead. And we've also found a lot of luck with the developers that we work with that say, I'm interested in that property. I don't know who owns it, or it's in a trust, and there's 5 kids that live all over the country, and I don't know how to chase them down or understand this property, so they just move on to the quicker transaction. So if we can do all the research and tee everything up to make that a faster transaction for them, then it makes it a lot more competitive, and that's a great way to compete with Cedar Park.
I had a quick question. What do you think about entertainment in Leander?
I think entertainment, there's a lot of demand and growth in that space. I think the challenge sometimes is finding the right real estate for it and the demand, there's entertainment, fitness, and furniture, and food. Entertainment, fitness, furniture, and food. Those are the current brands or categories where we're seeing the most interest. A lot of entertainment will go and backfill second-generation space, which you don't have a large you have very little vacancy, extremely low vacancy here, which really warrants new construction.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making the trip. And,
absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you. You've given us a lot to think about. Council, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, so we will reconvene at 10 after 8. This time we're going to reconvene. The time is 8:17, and we're going to move to our number 25. We're going to discuss and consider action on award of solicitation number S18-021 for cold water radio frequency water meters and automatic meter reading system to Core and Main for meter size 5/8 inches to 6 inches in the estimated annual amount of $368,320. Hydro Pro Solutions for meter size 8 inches in the estimated annual amount of $38,155, and authorizing the city manager to execute any and all necessary contract documents and authorize contract renewals.
Thank you. Good evening.
Simonton.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. This item tonight is staff's recommendation on solicitation that was issued in July for the city's water meters and associated reading system. We refer to it as AMR. 5 responses were received. A 3-year contract is sought for this commodity with 2 one-year renewals. As you mentioned in the introduction, the estimated annual expenditure is $368,320 for meters size 5/8 to 6 inches and $38,155 for meters size 8 inches. A solicitation of this nature is often comprised of numerous city departments, as this one was, to include Mr. Frank Phelan, a professional consulting engineer from J Engineering Company. to help us evaluate the technical components. An extensive review and scoring of the respondent proposals was conducted. The evaluation team interviewed 4 of the 5 respondents, and we sought demonstrations of the system's billing software integration, which is critical to this decision. The result of this effort has shown that the Quorum Main Neptune AMR system and product meets our spec and provides the best value when buying the 5/8 inch through the 6-inch meters. HydroPro and the Master Meter AMR system meets our spec and is most competitive with their 8-inch meters. Your matrix and associated scoring is included in your packet, and funds are budgeted for this year in and year out in the utility fund. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I do have someone signed up to speak on this item. So at this time, I'm going to let Michelle Ellis come to the podium, please. If you don't mind hanging around.
Of course. Hello, Council. So what I'm going to speak about, do I need to push this?
If you'd state your name and address.
My name is Michelle Ellis, 1200 Live Oak.
Thank you.
You got it. So what I want to speak to is not to the contractors that you've gotten bids from, but regarding the AMR meters themselves. I'm not sure if you've had someone come up and speak about the AMR meters before. Okay, so what the AMR meters are, they're a different type of smart meter. And smart meter is synonymous with electromagnetic pollution. So these smart meters pose a privacy issue, a health issue, and now a legal issue. The privacy issue is because everything you do in your home is monitored and recorded. If you wake up at 4:30 a.m. and take a shower, it's recorded. If you go to your kitchen and turn on water, it's recorded. If you run your dishwasher or your washing machine, all of that's recorded. So that's basically a violation of our privacy. It's also a health issue because there are now thousands of studies that show very clearly that there are serious adverse biological effects that can arise from these low-level exposures. These are serious peer-reviewed studies that have been replicated by different scientists and scrutinized in depth, and they prove that radio frequency, the radio frequency emitted by these smart meters, is able to penetrate walls, metal, and concrete, and of course our bodies, and that this causes DNA damage, disturbed immune systems, brain-blood barrier damage, sleep disturbances, brainwave changes, headaches, light sensitivity, heart arrhythmias, chronic fatigue, memory problems, ringing in the ears, and depression. Most AMR meters emit a spike of radiation that contains the current kilowatt per hour reading of the meter, and in this case, every 14 seconds. This is done so that a meter reader with a receiver can drive by any time and can get the reading without having to wait very long. Okay, and now to the legal issue, which I'm running out of time. But the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals 2 months ago ruled that the Fourth Amendment applies to smart meter data. That means the Fourth Amendment says the right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, etc., against unreasonable searches and seizures. So I don't have time to go into that, but basically the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals said that the city's collection of smart meter data was reasonable since it was only every 15 minutes. In this case, it would be every 14 seconds. But they admonished the city for failing, one, to give residents the option of keeping traditional analog meters. So forced acceptance or forced use of the smart meters was one of the things that they were admonished for. And there are a lot of groups getting together to sue different cities. I know one group is about ready to sue the city of Austin. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that. And I, for one, am very electric sensitive. So smart meters around me cause me to feel horrible all the time. So I just wanted to bring that to your awareness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Is there anybody from the company that we could talk to and address
that
question?
Type of concern? Yeah. Quorum Maine was invited. Mr. Frank Phelan is here also if you have any insight there. Thank you.
Yeah, so meter sends out a signal every 14 seconds, but it doesn't actually log it every 14 seconds.
Is that information kept? I mean, it's just, is it?
The meter keeps the data for 96 days.
Okay. And then it's just disposed of, or I mean,
Correct.
it resets.
It's just rolling 96 days, yes.
Okay. Have there been any lawsuits that you're familiar with?
No, sir.
Based on these types of meters?
No.
Where, I'm sorry, can I ask? Where are they located outside of the house, just like the normal meters?
Yes, they're usually close. They're on the city's land. And,
Oh, they're in the city's right away?
yeah, I would assume.
Okay, they're not stuck on this house?
Not on the house.
Thank you.
And Mayor, we don't, we just collect the data for billing. If we want to get the interval, Joe, this is correct, we've got to go out to the meter and download it. So it's only the fixed base systems where you don't have meter readers at all that everyone can get the, minute by minute usage on their cell phone or on the website or something like that. All we get right now, so when the meter reader drives down the street, is the new usage for the month. If we want to get the detailed data, we have to send someone out to the meter and download it.
What, could you give us about an estimate percentage of how many are set up already in our city?
Yeah, smart meters, it's the majority right now, I believe. Do you have it, Joy?
I'll speak, and if anyone needs to add color to my explanation, I want to say 17,000 water customers currently.
Yeah, pretty much.
We currently have 17,000 customers, but approximately the smart meters we have is just over probably half of that. Yeah, we have about 45% of that. And on the data logging, those are specifically done per request of the customer. We don't go out and do that unless there's an issue. They have some question they have about their consumption. So that's not something that we self-initiate.
So if someone realizes their water bill has just gone haywire,
Correct.
you can then send someone out there to...
Correct.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Cannon. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, we moved to agenda item 26. Discuss and consider action on a noise variance for construction activities to Cadence McShane Construction to provide for remaining concrete pours at the Hermosa Village project located on 11680 Hero Way West, starting November 6th, beginning at 2 a.m., going through January 31st, 2019, and requiring Cadence McShane Construction to post notifications with both flyers and message boards a minimum of 48 hours in advance of the activities. Mr. Watts.
All right. As you may remember, back on September the 6th, this was before you, and at that time, their request was through November 27th. You guys rolled it back to the end of October. Of course, about September the 6th, it started raining for just about 8 weeks in a row and up until this week. So they're back here because of weather conditions. They have an approximately 15 more pours to take care of. They've got a schedule that is attached in your packet of what days they will pour, and there'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 a.m. And they are here if you wish to question them. They have had a couple of pours. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 or 4. 7. We've received no complaints. As far as I know, no one else has received complaints from the neighborhood about lack of notice. So unless you have, it has not made it to me. So staff would request approval of their requested schedule.
Now, the current time, is it at 2? Because I thought we had pushed it back to 4 a.m.
We did.
So if there's...
Can the applicant
Well,
say why
we'll
they
bring the
wanna
applicant up and let them address that and see if that's been working for them and if they would like to see that modified or can accept it to be modified.
Yes, it's been working for us. The 2 a.m. is a little bit better for us because we can get more concrete in before 7 a.m. But the 4 has been working.
Do you need,
I look at the time schedule, and unfortunately, it's right there at the holidays, and a lot of people are going to be off, and that 2 a.m., because, they're forming and they're getting ready at midnight, so this is.
Well, generally what we'll do is we'll have everything set up the day before, and it gets approved by all the inspectors. Everybody sees it before you pour. So for our 2 a.m. pours, we really don't get on site and start making any noise until a little bit before 2. About 1:30, the pump truck will start showing up.
Okay.
If we're pumping slabs, if we're placing the concrete paving, then we don't use a pump truck, so it's a little closer to 2:30 before things really get going.
Okay. Another question I had is, I know a lot of the complaints are with the backup, but you
Yeah.
can't muffle that, can you? That would be an OSHA
Well,
violation.
there's alternate forms of backup alarming we can do. So we've done, and that's part of the reason why I think we've gotten so few or really no complaints since our last time up here that we're aware of, is we've taken the backup bells off so they don't have that loud beeping you're used to, and it gives a puff of air. So it still meets OSHA requirements, but
okay.
the sound doesn't transfer all the way through to the neighborhood. We've also, along the house slabs or the pads that are along the residential fence on the back, we've done those during the day and not during those early morning hours to try to help alleviate some of the noise for those folks as well.
Thank you
So
for doing
how much
that.
further are you, how far in are you from the residences now with the pours?
There's I believe it's 100-foot buffer where there's no construction happening.
Okay.
The pours that we're making are probably 200 to 300 feet, or somewhere in there, a couple hundred feet away.
Football field in.
Yeah, we've got a good buffer. And then what we also do, there's obviously lights that we're putting up, and we're angling those so they're not pointing into people's windows and things of that nature.
But, it's still a field, so, 100 feet really doesn't matter much if that's the back of your house.
if we left it at 2 a.m., but remove Thanksgiving week, the 27th and the 29th, and then December 27th, would you still be able to meet this schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, we're not going to be pouring on Thanksgiving. Everybody's got places to be that day.
Grandma will come over, not too happy that you woke her up.
Absolutely. Well, and all
or I
would.
Sorry.
Their grandmas will come get them too.
I just can't do the 2 a.m.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4 a.m. Start time.
I'll second it.
Who said
Leaving,
second?
leaving out
It's Andrea.
Okay.
the holiday.
I'm not concerned with leaving out the holidays. As the applicant said, they're going to be gone anyway. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I won't be showing up for
Right.
it. I guarantee that.
Well, but they requested it, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can take out.
We can happily take those.
Okay.
Or
Thank
have
you.
a handshake agreement that we won't pour during those times. Obviously, Christmas and Thanksgiving are the times people definitely don't want to hear from us.
so I would like to make a friendly amendment. Can I do that now?
I'll accept that amendment.
He can read my mind.
Will you accept the?
That's fine.
Okay.
Just keep doing the good work about notification. I think that's key for the residents. As long as they know it's coming, they're like,
Okay. Yeah,
and we'll
absolutely.
just get it done.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a motion to approve with a 4 a.m. time by Councilmember Seiler with a friendly amendment from Councilmember Cannon asking that we exclude holidays.
That we omit the November 27th, November 29th, and December 27th.
Okay. And we have a second by Councilmember Navarrete. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Good luck. We'll pray for no rain.
Number 27, discuss and consider action on the award of bid for construction contract to C.C. Carlton Industries for the San Gabriel Parkway Phase 1 project in the amount of $2,931,184, authorizing the city manager to execute any and all necessary documents. Ms. Crawford?
Hello, good evening. This piece of San Gabriel Parkway is between Palmyra Bluff and Palmyra Ridge. Bids were received and opened on Thursday, September 27th for San Gabriel Parkway Phase 1. 3 bids proposals were received. C.C. Carlton Industries was the low bidder with a bid of $2,931,184. City staff and the project engineering consultant have reviewed the project history, qualifications, and bid tabs. C.C. Carlton has the experience with projects of comparable size and scope and complexity within the City of Leander and is recommended for this work by city staff. The consultant's recommendation is attached. This project was included in a development agreement for the Tungate Palmyra Bluff Second Amendment to the Addendum Number 1 to the Development Agreement and Annexation Agreement, and that established the roadway participation cost for this. So the city's portion is $1,563,468.69. The developer is participating with $1,367,715.31. This project was included in our CIP as Project T11 and previously budgeted, and we're within those amounts. So staff recommends award for the construction contract of San Gabriel Parkway Phase 1 to C.C. Carlton Industries in the amount of $2,931,184. I'm available for questions if you'll have any.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete with the second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there any other discussion?
I just had a quick question. Do we have bids yet for 2A and 2B?
No, we don't. We haven't gotten finalized plans yet.
Okay.
That should be coming in the next few months.
Is that budgeted currently?
Not in this year's budget.
Okay.
In our CIP plan, and it shows up in next fiscal year with a 4.1 estimate, depending on how the roadway project, what those estimates come in us.
Thank you.
All right, we have a first and second in favor. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, number 28, discuss and consider action on task order KFA, not KFC, 39 with K. Freeze and Associates for professional services for Brushy Creek Regional Detention Study in an amount not to exceed $87,000, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute any and all necessary documents and providing an effective date. Mr. Watts.
This is a budgeted project. It was budgeted in this year's budget at $150,000. This $87,000 total, I don't know if I'll be back with any supplements. It's going to depend on the results of and the outcome and the recommendations of this particular study. In your executive summary, we note the reason for the study is that this is to verify and take any necessary actions to address the no detention policy in the TOD to make sure that the cumulative effects are not going to get us in trouble. Staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Now we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler, who is getting his opportunity now, and second by Councilmember Navarrete. Is there any more discussion?
I had a quick question. I didn't see a map where this covered, and you know how much I love maps. But is it just the TOD area?
It is the north and south fork of Brushy Creek. So, but it's going to it's primarily the TOD area,
Okay.
But we have other instances where we've used some of the no detention policy, and we want to verify that, make sure that it's good. We're beginning to have some second thoughts about it, although it was documented and as a workable solution in the Bureau and Partner study.
And the no detention policy, I'm sorry, does it just apply to the TOD, the smart code?
It's going to apply to whatever areas call for it. Whatever areas are along the north and south fork of Brushy Creek, including the TOD and primarily the TOD, but not only the TOD.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have a first and second. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, let's see, where are we? Number 29, discuss and consider action on an amendment 4 to task order HWL-1 with HW Lochner Incorporated for construction phase services for Bagdad Road North improvements in an amount of $54,569.18, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute any and all necessary documents and providing an effective date. Mr. Watts.
The purpose of this is to increase the authorized time and materials for construction phase services during the Bagdad project. You've got a history of it that's about a page long of each and every contract associated with this project. This is necessitated just because we have an additional demand for those services, just due to the length and time of the project, and the previously authorized, requested and authorized amounts were not enough to cover the project. There's been some delays on the project due to certain utility companies being non-responsive. We're past that point now. We're making very good progress now that we have the dry utility relocation issues out of the way. And this, I will note that the consultant has committed that he will not be asking for another cent, even if it costs him $100,000. So staff recommends approval.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I like the way he thinks, or she. All
Just
right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I ask you a question? Just to confirm, this is full built out.
Yes. Right, for the completion of the project to collaborative from 500 feet north of the intersection of Hero Way and Bagdad. So.
Is it a total of 500 feet?
No, basically from Bagdad to Collaborative Way will be 5 lanes. We'll begin a transition from 5 to 2 lanes at San Gabriel to Collaborative, and includes a traffic signal at Collaborative.
Okay.
This is the project that has been under construction now for, over a year.
2014.
Yes.
Is when it started.
When the design started. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete. Was it? Sorry, Councilmember Shepherd, with a second by Pro Tem Stevenson. Is there any more discussion?
Oh, yeah, never mind. It's been a while.
All in favor?
We're ready.
All right, passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Watts. All right, number 30, discuss and consider action on an ordinance creating and establishing a Citizens Advisory Committee, providing an effective date and open meetings clause, and providing for related matters. I do have the list of names. We did bump this to 10 people. We have already interviewed J.D. Martinez, Deanna Root, Andrew Nodden, Scott Kalame, and Robert Turner. The other 4 are Derek Levisay, who's in the financial industry. We have Tisa Stevenson, who has a doctorate in pharmacy and is a pharmacist for CVS. We have Mary Poche, formerly of EDC of Pflugerville and Salado. She is now in private sector. We have Eric Johnson. He chaired our bond task committee. He also served on our economic development committee. And Eric Gardner. He is chief engineer for National Instruments, and he is a launch team member at Hill Country Bible and Watchdogs at Winkley Elementary. So that, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, 31, discuss and consider action on a resolution to participate in the 2019-2023 Austin Round Rock MSA Regional Air Quality Plan. Councilmember Navarrete is the sponsor for this item.
Yes, Mayor. This is a very important resolution for the City of Leander to actually participate actively in the 2019-2023 Austin Round Rock MSA Regional Air Quality Plan. And to do that, I've invited Mr. Andrew Hoeksma. He is the Assistant Director of Regional Planning and Services for CAPCOG, which is Capital Area Council of Governments, which I'm an Executive Committee Officer for, and I've asked Andrew to brief us on this resolution.
Thanks. So the City of Leander is a member of the Clean Air Coalition, which is a group of organizations within the Austin Round Rock metro area, part of the regional air quality effort to keep the region in attainment of federal air quality standards and otherwise help guide the clean air effort here in the region. One of the things I think all of you should be proud of is that the Clean Air Coalition and Leander's participation in the Clean Air Coalition is really part of a regional effort that's been recognized by EPA as a model for regional participation and voluntary air quality planning efforts. City of Austin is actually the largest city in the country that's now in attainment of all air quality standards, and the Austin metro area is the largest metro area in the state that's in attainment of all air quality standards. But we are only barely in attainment of the standards. So the standard for ozone, for instance, is 70 parts per billion. We're at 69 parts per billion as of the end of last year. So we've consistently been able to just get in under the line on those standards, but it's in large part through these measures that have been taken throughout the region and regional collaboration. Sort of every organization pitching in to do what they can to help reduce emissions, and then our ability as a region to communicate that to EPA and TCEQ has been important for us to be able to demonstrate that we're doing our part to control this problem. So to the extent that that gives us sort of a bargaining chip, if we were to violate the air quality standards and potentially avoid a non-attainment designation, which just happened to San Antonio this last summer, that's very important. Not to mention the health benefits associated with reduced air pollution. So,
could you possibly touch on the economic ramifications if we are labeled non-attainment?
So I was mentioning earlier that one of the benefits of being towards the end of the agenda is you get to hear all the other agenda items. And so Leander being such a fast-growing city, and with all the economic development projects and transportation planning that y'all have, it's important that you understand that a non-attainment designation for ozone would have some significant constraints then on the ability to attract businesses to the region and to the city, and also to conduct transportation planning. So every time you want to add a lane mile that's not already approved by the federal government and in the plan, it has to go through a much longer process for approval, and they've got to confirm that it's consistent with the air quality plan. There's then risks associated with potentially losing funding for projects, for instance. We did an economic assessment for the region, and largely due to constraints on the ability of certain businesses to expand, we estimated that it could have a $24 to $42 billion impact on economic growth over the next 20 years if we did get designated.
Thank you, Mr. Hoeksma. I appreciate the information and sharing it with council especially. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that one.
I had a couple questions.
Sure.
Can you send us the economic growth impact study?
Sure. Yeah, it's available online, and I can certainly send it to the city manager and have
that
it
would be
distributed.
great. Not knowing much about this and
Sure.
just learning, I'm really interested to learn on how we are reducing unnecessary idling.
I think it's the thing in your car. It's the button that I always push off because it drives me crazy when my car stops and starts. You know what I'm talking about?
We don't have fancy
I should
cars.
probably quit doing that.
Yeah, we don't have those kind of fancy cars.
I think her question is, what does this mean when it says reduce unnecessarily idling?
I mean, there's a list.
What are the methods?
So, I'm a resident of Cedar Park. One of the things that the city did was installed some devices on their fleet equipment that enabled them to track engine usage. And they knew when their driver was making a detour to the donut shop or going to, stand in front of their house for 20 minutes or something, idling their vehicle. They did a test to sort of collect some of this data. And then once they got a baseline, they then informed all the drivers, hey, by the way, we're starting to collect data. It'll help us, track what's going on with fleet equipment. And they saw a huge decrease in these sort of extraneous vehicle miles traveled and engine idling time and things like that. So simply just having some fleet tracking software, for instance, is something that could be done. Even simpler than that would be to just adopt sort of a no idling policy for the city's own vehicles and equipment. There are several cities around the region that have something like that, and sometimes people will kind of complain if there's an idling ordinance out in the community if the city isn't doing its own part to control idling of its own vehicles. So starting with sort of the city's own vehicles, and establishing an idling policy would be one step in that.
And so just to be clear, you're asking to approve implementing this list of measures?
All the cities that are included in that MSA have already done this. They're just signing a proclamation or the resolution just saying that we're on board, keep doing the good work that you're doing. We're hoping to eventually regain funding from the governor's office, so there's not city buy-in for it. And we just want to make sure we still have those monitoring stations in place. I think Andrew could probably touch on it, but there's a lot of efforts that are in place to help this. With Commute Solutions is one of them. There's several huge employers in Austin that allow commuting from home on days that there's going to be high ozone action days, and there's several monitoring stations throughout the area, and they also work with the Alamo Area Clean Air Coalition that they work with large employers, as he said, with fleets.
Sure.
And when they're monitoring that air quality, they'll actually change what they're doing and reroute their trucks and change the time period when they're doing that. So it's really a huge effort. So this is just the city of Leander saying, we're doing a good job, we're on board, we're behind you, we got to keep doing the right thing.
Great.
I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In regards to mass transit, there's some comments on there that, we're committing that we're going to embrace mass transit and keep funding it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
So
on
my
there.
question
Yes.
is, did you guys look? There's really not a whole lot of evidence to suggest that mass transit really, A, deters people from driving their cars, or is an effective means of eliminating traffic on the roads. There's not, and especially in relation to Capital Metro. Did the buses, as far as you know, even use clean fuel technology? Aren't they all diesel?
So there's a couple things in there. I guess one caveat I have is that I was here to sort of provide the general picture on what's going on within the region. I don't know specifically what's in the resolution that's in front of you. So what we did is we provided kind of a model ordinance that had a couple things that had been identified for the whole region as things that we thought would be good practices. So, for instance, we talked about telecommuting. If where it's feasible, try to encourage people to do telecommuting. Where it's not feasible, encourage them to take some alternative mode other than single occupancy vehicle commuting if they can. Not everybody can. So it's, there's part of the effort here is to say each community is different. Each community's situation or their employees or how they get to work is different. There are some good practices that are sort of generally applicable and a good thing to try to encourage if you can. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a silver bullet or that any one measure, doesn't mean that City of Leander doing this measure versus this measure is going to be the difference between us attaining the standard or not. As far as Cap Metro is concerned, they are doing quite a bit to make sure that their fleet is as clean as possible. They've applied for a lot of the Texas Emission Reduction Plan grants in order to get the latest clean buses into their fleet. If you look at a bus today versus one 10 years ago, it's 95% cleaner, even for a diesel one. They're also looking to convert, I think, to a lot of electric buses as well. So they are certainly going down the path of trying to get the fleet that they do have to be as clean as possible.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have two quick questions.
Yes.
So there is a huge difference in the emissions that are coming from Leander versus what's coming from Austin.
Right.
So, and what we've been given looks like it's geared more, the suggestions are geared more towards Austin, things like charging for parking and stuff like that. What do you feel is for a smaller city like Leander, what do you feel is the issue here that some of the broader issues?
So I would say that that City of Leander is now on the cusp of being a city of more than 50,000 people. It's right under it by.
No, we're over. We just hit 60.
Oh, okay.
You're
so
close.
if Leander was not adjacent to the city of Austin, it would have its own metropolitan area associated with it. And so sometimes I think when we're within this region and we have kind of that 800-pound gorilla of Austin next to us, it's easy to sort of say, well, this air quality issue is an Austin issue, or it's somebody else other than my community. And it's certainly true that, City of Austin at 950,000 people is a much more significant contributor to emissions than Leander. However, Leander is part of the metro area, and Leander will be affected if this region gets designated non-attainment. If Austin is violating the standard, Leander is part of Williamson County, and Williamson County would certainly be right in line for a non-attainment designation. So one of the things that a community can do is demonstrate the effort that they are taking to try to control their emissions. And so as far as giving you guys advice, we sort of identified these Tier 1 and Tier 2 measures as things that are kind of best practices for if you have an employee, if you've got employees, every organization's got employees, there's certain things you can do to help reduce the impact of that commuting. Conserving energy, that kind of thing, good practices for any organization to undertake. That being said, y'all are the experts on your own community, and y'all are the ones who have to decide kind of what you want to represent your participation in this plan to be.
Fair enough. Thank you. My second question, I'm not sure which of y'all can answer this. What we have in the packet doesn't have any sort of dollar sign attached to it. Is there any cost to this program, or is it just a straight resolution?
Tonight's agenda item is definitely just a straight resolution. We've already budgeted for it and actually already paid for our last year's and actually next year's enrollment, I guess. For the
Leander Leander, as part of a regional effort last year and then again this year, has helped step up to fund CapCog's regional air quality program on a pro rata basis based on population. What happened was our program, which is just kind of planning and doing the air quality monitoring, was funded by the state up until 2017, and it got line item vetoed by the governor. So the 22 city and county governments that are participating in this agreed to step up and sort of help cover the costs of keeping the CapCog air quality program in place following the veto. And so that has been important for us to be able to continue having a kind of regional effort underway.
What do those funds cover?
So it covers my time here to come talk to y'all tonight. It covers our outreach efforts. We operate a website, aircentraltexas.org, and we have social media accounts for that. So if there's a predicted high ozone day, we try to give people information about that. Our biggest sort of single line item cost is that we operate a series of ozone monitors around the region. So we operate 8 of those monitors, whereas TCQ only operates 2 of them. So
Sorry, are any of those in Leander?
None of the CapCog monitors are, because there's a TCQ monitor that's nearby.
Okay.
We operate 2 in Williamson County, 1 in Georgetown, and 1 in Hutto.
Do you know where the TCEQ one is?
It's actually on the Travis County border, but it's at the Austin Audubon Society, so when it got cited there, it was cited such that it could be as close as possible to Williamson County without actually being in Williamson County.
So it's at the Baker Sanctuary?
I'm not sure that that's. I guess so. I don't know the exact name of the. It's the Austin Audubon Society.
Yeah, that's
is what the monitor is named.
And does anybody know how much we're paying into this annually?
annually.
7,000? Thank you.
So I had a couple more questions for Councilwoman Navarrete. So on the ordinance, I love clean, fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
I want more of it. I'm just curious. I am concerned when we're obligating ourselves to something that's a little vague. But on the ordinance that's attached,
It's a
the resolution that's attached at the bottom of page 1, it says staff is directed to identify measures that the City of Leander commits to implement in support of new regional air quality plan and notify the staff at capital area counts, CapCog, of these measures no later than October 26th, 2018, and to subsequently report on implementation of these measures annually. So what are those measures? Did we report October 26th? And who can talk to us about that?
I believe we did actually report those. They had actually contacted directly the mayor back in September, and there was no reply through November, and we really needed action by, I believe it's November 18th. And so that's why we were bringing it to council to, try and get that done now. There's
you're
meetings all the time.
You're the representative. Can you just put it in a nutshell and let us know what the plan is for Leander? The air quality plan for Leander?
That's what we're talking about here. That's what's listed in the packet.
So when we sent these out, we provided two templates for it. One that said such and such city, the resolutions would be a council action authorizing or sort of specifying the following measures will be implemented by the city as part of this plan. The other option was council agrees that we want to participate in the plan, and we direct the city manager or the county judge or someone else to identify what those measures are at a later date and report them to CapCog. So either option is fine as far as we're concerned. It's really up to y'all as to whether or not you want to be so specific to say council says the following measures are going to be implemented, or if you'd like to leave it up to the city manager to say, here's the measures that we'll identify for CapCog that will represent our participation in the plan.
And several of those we're already doing. We're the railhead, for Cap Metro.
So would there be an issue with coming up with what those are when we do report them before we implement them?
Would there be an issue with coming up with them?
Well, no. I mean, before we take any measures that require anything from us, just to get a report of what those are specifically.
What I've been doing for several years is just filling out the report that they send us with a list of A through Z of thing, and just click off the things that we're already doing. So
have we ever had to change anything based on?
No, I mean, you can just look at some of the list of things here about, other than Austin and perhaps Manor, no one continues to fund and encourage the use of mass transit more than Leander. Encourage transit-oriented development. We're doing that. Improve energy and resource efficiency in new buildings. We do that.
I'm sorry,
Development standards to support water conservation. We notify employees if there's ozone action days. We have direct deposit for all of our employees. These are things that we're already doing.
My concern is if this is laying the groundwork for creating additional ordinances that might
I just think it would be
The
very
alternative is-
ill-advised to be the only one in the MSA that's not.
I would just love to have seen the checklist, I guess, that says what we participate in, because how do we offer energy and resource efficiency in new buildings?
Well, it's through the building code. We've adopted the international, not the latest, but almost the latest international building code. Look at the largest building we had built recently, ACC. I forget which LEED certification they have. All of the school buildings that are built.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great information. I just didn't see that in here, so I didn't know.
I think with what's at stake, it's imperative that whatever it takes, we get on board and we try to do it. And it's not, I don't think it's a black and white list that says these things must be done. It's taking steps to improve our air quality one thing at a time, just by looking at the normal things we do in the course of a day.
And we've been members for many years, long before me, and
The thing I think to remember is this is a voluntary plan.
absolutely.
And there, you can, as much or as little as you want to put on the dotted line with this resolution doesn't affect whether or not you implement a particular measure over the next year. The most important thing is to just signal to the rest of the region that the city would be interested in continuing to participate in the plan and reporting to us and the rest of the cities within the region what it is that you have done moving forward.
So if Austin gets hit with non-attainment, what happens?
So if one of the two regulatory monitors that TCQ operates is at, say, 71 parts per billion, the standard's at 70, that puts the region at risk of a non-attainment designation. At that point, there are new permitting requirements that go on to expansion of existing facilities. So if Samsung, for instance, wanted to expand, it would double their permitting timeline. And they would have to offset any new emissions that they created. And they would have to do a whole bunch of other things that would constrict their ability to do that. So this was one of the case studies in the economic impact study that we did. And what would happen in that case is that economic development opportunity for the region would definitely go somewhere else within their system of plants around the country. Y'all have some cement plants. Those could potentially be affected by rules that apply to point sources. The thing that probably most directly impacts local governments, though, are the new constraints that would be placed on transportation planning. So as I mentioned, there's this sort of federal transportation conformity process. So every time you change the transportation plan for a city and say we want to add a lane mile here or change what a new capacity project is or add a new capacity project, there are many more hurdles to actually getting that done.
Okay, and then two more, sorry. Are there any cities in Texas that have already been put in that situation?
Yes, there's a 10-county region in Dallas-Fort Worth area that's designated non-attainment for ozone. There's an 8-county region in Houston that's designated non-attainment for ozone. Bexar County was recently designated non-attainment for ozone. There's also several counties that have been designated non-attainment for sulfur dioxide in East Texas. And then El Paso and Beaumont, Port Arthur at different times in the past have been designated non-attainment for ozone.
Okay. And then my last one, how close are we to non-attainment?
We are at 69 parts per billion and the standard's at 70, so 1% away.
I'm sorry,
Thank
by
you.
we you mean Austin?
The Austin Round Rock Metropolitan Statistical Area. So the way EPA looks at it is wherever your worst monitor is for an entire metro area determines the entire metro area's compliance.
So if our monitors were in better places, we wouldn't face this?
They're required to be placed in the locations that would show the worst ozone.
Okay. And where is it showing 69 out of 70?
It's along Mopac, Murchison Middle School in Austin.
Do our neighboring smaller cities belong to this?
Yes.
Cedar Park, Round Rock?
Every home rule city in the Austin Round Rock metro area other than Manor is participating.
Okay.
So even though we're participating in this, what happens to get that reading of 69 on that 1 meter down?
So combustion, basically, anytime you're burning anything, it creates NOx emissions, nitrogen oxide emissions, and so that contributes to ozone formation.
But like the money that we're putting into this, are you all going and targeting the area around that meter to make sure that that falls under compliance?
So I am not going out there with something to scrub out ozone. What we are trying to do is basically work within the region to implement measures that would help bring that monitoring station down. Not just the monitoring station, but the whole region, to the extent that it's not just that one station that you're actually having high ozone days. Sometimes you've got them as high as 84 parts per billion within the region, just sort of day by day. So basically what the funding that the city has provided helps pay for CapCogs monitors, which show the fuller picture throughout the metro area and shows that some parts of the area might be attaining the standard, even if Austin isn't. And showing what upwind and downwind concentrations are, and then our outreach and education efforts, our technical analysis, and our planning efforts.
And this one by the middle school, is that an outlier, or are there several that are right there?
There,
in the high 60s?
all of them are in the All of them are in the high 60s.
All of them, including outside of Austin?
Yes.
Okay.
They all range from about 65 to 69.
And optimally, what do you want them to be?
So,
What's your healthiest city?
healthiest city,
It kind of depends on the way the wind blows,
it
doesn't it?
does, yeah.
Like
So,
literally.
We can get affected.
I mean, the reality is we're attaining the standard right now. What we want to do is to be able to continue attaining the standard. This attainment statistic is based. You can have days that it actually goes over the standard several times a year and still be in attainment of the standard. So what happens is that's a 3-year average. So right now, for instance, if we had the same ozone that we did this year, next year we would actually have a violation of the standard because of the way they do the averaging. So the plan here is really there's only so much we can do, as you mentioned before. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we stay below 70 to the extent we can. And if we go above 70, we want to be able to document the efforts that we've taken to stay below 70.
Okay. And if we go to aircentraltexas.org, will we see, like, the history of those monitoring stations and be able to kind of see it on our end?
Not there, but I'm happy to. That's sort of the public-facing side of things. So that the information you're talking about is a bit more technical, and I can get you that information.
I would love to see that.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Isn't it illogical to put the monitoring centers in the worst places? I mean,
think
it
that's the
seems
point.
like then you're trying to get a predisposed outcome.
So you're asking me to speak for EPA now
Yeah.
on the logic behind their
But I mean,
their regula- So the,
what you're saying is we're using what they provide us. So you're saying we need to take action based on monitoring stations that are put in places to come out with a predetermined number. You know, if I want an average, I don't put it at the back of a bus, you know. If I'm going to measure all vehicles, I don't put something on the worst diesel bus that I can find. I average out among all the cars, correct? By saying take action based on monitoring stations of the worst places that you could put it, we're kind of saying that we're pretty close to getting there, correct? I mean, does that not make sense?
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not saying that he did, but he's sitting here in front of us asking for us to participate in a program that is using information that it seems like it's meant to get to a conclusion. I mean, I was ready to go, okay, it doesn't sound like anything big, and then when you said that, it's like, I'm sorry, that's illogical.
If you're going to monitor anything for extremes, for a high level, you have to go to where it's the highest.
But you're judging the whole Metroplex or the whole Central Texas area on these monitoring stations that are in the worst places. So that's like, come put one by my house. There's
But
not.
Capcom,
So one of the
have 8.
we
right?
have 8, and those are not the monitors of record for compliance. What I'll just say is this: not everybody buys into different rationales for doing this, but so maybe the environmental rationale isn't what gets you. Maybe the economic rationale isn't what gets you. The reality is these regulations are here, even with an EPA that has not been particularly inclined to be very strict with implementing some of the regulations that had been previously adopted. They did designate the San Antonio area as non-attainment and made it very clear that even if you were 1 part per billion over the standard, you would be at risk for that. So those are the stakes, whether or not you agree with where the monitor is located. And so having the participation of the local governments within the region to document that the region is taking steps to try to mitigate this issue, regardless of where EPA is stationed to monitor, helps the region be able to avoid a non-attainment designation.
Here's where here's where I'm having an issue. Mr. Cagle has said we're already doing a lot of this. Check, check, check. Great, awesome. We want to join your club. We all love clean air. My concern is on the wording on the resolution. That last paragraph on page 1 says that staff is directed to identify means that the city of Leander commits to implement in support of the new regional air quality plan and notify y'all of those measures no later than October 26, 2018. So I guess my question is to Mr. Cagle, what measures did we identify and have we committed to implement?
I just earlier read off the list of things we're already doing.
So we're not committing to do anything that we're not already doing.
Not to my knowledge, unless you direct us to do so.
This is an organization that we've continued to participate in. So this isn't new. This is just
No.
saying we're still in.
There's a lot that isn't new that I don't agree with, but I just want to make sure that we're not over committing.
Doesn't mean that's a rationale to keep
I'm
doing
just,
it.
guys, I mean, I'm raising my family here. I think all of us have been here 20 plus years.
We
You
all
know,
want
we all want
clean air.
clean air. So we just
Well,
want to
sure.
support the
Your
efforts
options are to
of the
vote for it or
region.
against it.
Sure.
We all
Thank you.
want
But the
clean
thing
air.
is-
I just want to know what we committed to do.
And Mr. Cagle read off to you those items that we're already doing.
Well, and realistically, we can do all those items without writing a check to anybody.
Nobody's asking for a check.
We talked about the membership in this.
There is not membership.
What is the $7,000 figure?
That was a contribution that the city made towards CapCog's air quality program for fiscal year 2019.
It was a donation?
I don't think it's classified as a donation. It's just
I'm just
everybody's allocated contribution based on population.
So it's not a
In the-
membership, it's not required.
In the
You don't
20
get kicked off if you don't pay the $7,000. No, this was a measure that was taken because we lost the funding, and the legislature only meets once every 2 years. So without local funding to keep CapCog's air quality program afloat, there would be no CapCog air quality program.
So this was our stopgap to get us through when funding could be reconsidered by the governor's
Look,
office.
I think from where I'm sitting, I believe in the cause, and this is not about that. You know, you had me till you talked about where the measuring stations were, but I think when everything is based on those measurements, whether a city like San Antonio loses their certification and then that affects
And
different
Houston and
things
Dallas.
or whatever,
No,
you know,
all-
and you're basing those off of those measurements, then you need to be sure that you're measuring it the right way.
That's one of the reasons CapCog has these 8 additional monitors around the region to provide a more complete picture of the regional air quality situation.
But you said that they were all in the places with the worst offenses.
I did not say that. I said that the one that's 69 parts per billion, that TCEQ is required to operate at least one monitoring station that's spotted or cited at a location expected to have the worst air quality. That every city in the United States is required to have a monitoring station located where you would expect to see the worst air quality, because you can't assess compliance unless you see what the worst case situation is going to be.
I don't agree. I don't agree. You want a cross section of what the whole town is. If you already know what one offender is, then just go measure them separately, you know, and come up with a mechanism for making sure they're in compliance. But you're judging the whole city based in part on what that one offender is doing.
So I'm not the EPA.
I'm not saying you are
Okay.
going out there with the, you know,
So
wand.
I guess my message to you on that would be that having a regional air quality program that can analyze the data and explain why a 69 part per billion day or a 71 part per billion measurement at this location should not mean that Williamson County gets designated non-attainment or other things along those lines. Having local participation and having a regional effort along with the other organizations that are participating in this helps the city accomplish its goals.
Sure.
I have a question
Thank you.
for Mr. Cagle. Any other measures that we take to, help with this, that would come before council, right?
I guess it just depends. I don't know. I don't know what it would be if there was some new type of ozone action notification. I mean,
Well, like some of the suggestions that they have in here.
I mean, if
idling
we're going to spend money on
restrictions,
something,
the paid parking.
yes, it would have to come before council.
So I'll give you an example of a situation where this came up. The city, Bastrop County asked me about, there was a measure we identified as encouraging telecommuting where feasible. So they said our personnel policies aren't currently very conducive to telecommuting. Do we have to change our telecommuting policy before we adopt this resolution? So my response to that was no. If you say that you are going to take a look at this and are interested in doing this, that doesn't actually change your personnel policies. It just is a resolution of the council that this is something you want to do.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Cagle, how often do you have to do reports?
It's annually.
So it's just
Yeah.
once a year? Okay. Do we already have a motion?
Sir, thank you very much. I do have one person signed up to speak, and
All
I'm
right.
going to let him speak. Mr. Joel Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Uxma.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You poor thing. You didn't anticipate all that, did you?
It's just presenting a resolution.
I never know what to expect, so it's all right. I'm just glad my daughter's occupied right there.
That's good for us.
She's doing a great job.
Joel Snyder, 805 Tabernash. I have two thoughts on this. I was just sitting back there not knowing anything. One, if you're going to assess a city, it should be by pollution as opposed to population. We have 50,000, and I know we could be comparing ourselves to a city that has 50,000 but much more industry. We have almost no industry in this city, and yet we're going to be assessed the same thing as another city that could have a lot of heavy industry, which would be very pollution oriented. So that's one thing I would think about. The other thing is we talk about what we're going to have to do if we need to block down the amount of pollution for new buildings or old buildings, existing buildings. We already have a problem with getting retail in here, we get residential all the time. No problem there. But if you're talking about getting industrial and office and things of that nature, we need to be careful that we don't price ourselves by having any kind of resolutions that are based to block our grab for industry and residential and retail. So that's my thoughts on the thing. I do think it's a great idea to have clean air. I think we have to look at it, though. What's the purpose of an organization, and why do we not have, we are the lowest probably oriented city for our size for pollution because we don't have industry here. Why don't we have a thing that says, okay, Leander, you're really clean air. You're down to below 60 parts per million. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have a motion for approval and a second.
I have one comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I thought you were done.
I think what makes it hard, at least for me, is that this is just sort of a concept, and we don't have anything to show what we've been doing and what the results of those efforts are. And so I would like to make a friendly amendment that we approve, but also whenever a report goes out from the city about our efforts, council is provided with a copy.
And I would like to add to that we see the economic impact study and that we get a copy of Leander's air quality program, the one that we're committing to implement new regulations of air quality plan. That's what makes me nervous. The resolution says that we are committing to implement the new requirements of air quality plan when I haven't seen Leander's air quality program plan.
I think we can share that at a later date. I don't think we need a friendly amendment on that.
Is there any
item.
reason why it wasn't in this package?
What specifically are you looking for? Mr. Cagle's already listed out what we currently do. Is that funny to you, Ms. Cannon?
The Leander air quality program? Do we have that documented somewhere?
I don't believe we do. It's all been a voluntary membership, not even a membership, just going to the meetings and doing what we can to do what we can while we can, before we're having to play catch up because we look like Garland, Texas.
I agree with the fundamentals of this. I'm concerned that we're voting on something that says the city of Leander commits to implement the new regional air quality plan.
Can we just vote on this?
Hey, you have two friendly amendments.
Sure.
Councilmember Shepherd made the second, so she would have to agree to it, followed by Councilmember Navarrete to accept those two friendly amendments into the motion.
And I don't, they
Do
can
they have to-
ask for that later.
Do they have to be accepted together?
Well, you can take them one-on-one.
I'm fine with both. I don't think that's a problem. Is it, Mr. Cagle, to present those things?
Well, in my opinion, they're one and the same, but
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's
Great.
pretty easy, so
Great.
I'm fine with it.
That's great. Thank
Okay,
you.
So now it goes to
To
Councilmember
Councilmember
Navarrete
Navarrete.
to accept the friendly amendment.
Whatever.
Just say yes.
I guess that's a yes. So, all in favor of the motion with the friendly amendment? All opposed?
There he goes. There he goes. He's back.
Sorry. Okay, motion passes 6 to 1.
It's our city for you.
Okay, number 32, discuss and consider action on the annual review and evaluation of the city manager pursuant to an employment contract. Sponsor, Councilmember Shepherd.
Thank you. I would like to move that we move this to executive session.
Second.
Mayor?
We have a motion to move it to executive session. I would ask for council's discretion here. Is this something that
We have a motion and a second.
I'm asking for council's
I don't know what you mean.
attorney?
Oh,
I read your opinion earlier, and if there is no discussion of their performance, but instead centers on the goals, is that something that can be discussed in open session?
I mean, this all could be discussed in open session. But the council can elect to discuss it in executive session.
And is that based on a majority vote?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion to take this item to executive session. All those in favor? All those opposed? Pursuant to this, we are in executive session at 9:27.
Leander Beer Market is serving.
Mayor, if you'll just cite the exception, it's the personnel.
Excuse me?
It's the personnel exception for going into
Okay.
executive session. If we could
Okay.
just have the record reflect that.
Okay, we are going into executive session pursuant to the personnel exception
Yes, sir. Thank you.
at 9:27. Thank you. Time is 11:55. We are in session again. We're going to move to number 32, discuss and consider action on the annual review and evaluation of the city manager pursuant to employment contract.
I make a motion to give Kent Cagle, our city manager, a 3% raise.
I'll second.
I'll second. I'll third.
All right, we have a first and second. All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes 5-2. Closing member comments, closing statements.
I have none.
I do. I was so happy and blessed to be able to judge the Halloween costume contest, and it was a blast seeing all the wonderful costumes, and I just really enjoyed that. I like seeing the spirit of our staff, and it was really great. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in here. It's almost midnight.
I have no comments tonight. It's too late.
Drive safe tonight. That's all I have.
I just want to thank the staff for staying this late, and I know
Yes.
that this takes a toll on y'all, and I appreciate all the work that y'all put forth.
Our 8-hour meeting on top of your 8-hour day.
Thank y'all for hanging in there. Oh, do you have it? Okay. Okay, let's end on a happy note. So Friday night, Michelle Stevenson and I went out to Bagdad Elementary for their trunk or treat, and the one on the right in orange is my 11-year-old who's reclusive and doesn't like going to public events, and the dinosaur on the left is Michelle. And it was really cool. They had this little dinosaur battle, and then my shy, reclusive kiddo actually asked Michelle to take her around, and Michelle did. And
nice.
Sometimes we get really heated and ugly up here, but this is what it's all about, being a part of the community and working together. So thank you so
Amen.
much, Michelle.
I like that.
I appreciate everybody saying. And in theory, we started earlier to get out earlier. And I know sometimes theories don't always come true, but someday that's going to be the case every meeting. So I'm
It
looking
will.
forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Are you? I took it. Oh, it's mine.